Capital punishment is not murder.
Excuse me, sorry.
When you're the head of the executive and you're saying that your political opposition needs to be investigated, when we've already seen him fabricate indictments, calling out the specific
people can be investigated.
Sorry, I know you are pretending to be a lawyer, okay? But generally speaking, the president of the United States does not give direct instruction to the head of the Department of Justice to issue indictments.
Now, you can bow out now if you're not
right.
going to respond to anything.
I'm out.
I'll muted him.
All right, bye. See ya, dude. You're useless, dude.
I muted.
That is really manifestly dangerous. That is weakening our military. That is what you're advocating for.
But excuse me, you. What's sick and disgusting is the fact that the president of the United States is deploying the military that he knows that he can't do. You keep saying he's following the law. Well, then why was he complaining about not being able to do it with Minnesota when all of BLM was going? And he knows he's breaking the law. The disgusting thing is using your own military. What do you mean? What part do I need to refresh on? What other thing do you not know about? Tell me. I can educate you. Since apparently you don't anything. So it's not on Twitter for you.
We're going to be discussing the recent shooting and killing of at least one National Guard member in Washington, D.C. So on November 26th, 2025, near Farragut West Metro Station in Washington, D.C., there was a shooting of two National Guard members, Specialist Sarah Beckstrom and Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. Sarah Beckstrom has since died from her wounds, and Sergeant Andrew Wolf is still, as far as I can tell, in critical condition. The suspect is in custody. He is an Afghan national, Ramanullah Lakanawal. Excuse my pronunciations. I'm very bad at foreign names. There has been much discussion about why this happened and who is to blame. Tonight's prompt is Trump responsible for the shooting of these two National Guard? Why or why not? And we've got some great guests to talk about it. I appreciate you all for coming, and apologies for the little tech support at the beginning, but we have to do what we got to do. I want to give the mic first to Destiny, and we'll just kind of go around, introduce ourselves, give us opening thoughts and what we have to say. Go ahead, Destiny. Open us up.
Okay, so I don't know if I would say 100% that Trump is fully responsible, but if anybody is responsible, he's pushed it basically as close to the line as possible. I think that Trump has engaged in behavior that has made all of the National Guards of every state and all of the federal police to have the most antagonistic relationship possible with all of the different states, or in D.C., just the territory of Washington, D.C. So I think that Trump has engaged in behavior that has increased the danger for all of the people that are deployed. I think that every single time a bad thing happens, I think that he tries to capitalize on it with some kind of policy. I would argue that Trump has been waiting for and loves these types of moments, and he's waiting for more moments like these to happen so that he can continue to expand on his executive power. Every time it does, we saw him jump on this as soon as these two National Guardsmen were shot. I think he deployed another 500 to D.C. And yeah, I just think that Donald Trump is engaged on a war path where he wants to invite as much self-destruction as possible so that it gives him more excuses basically to leverage and expand his executive power and authority.
Okay, we'll get into it as we go. Next up, Soy Pill. What you got?
Yeah, pretty much what Destiny said. I would add that Trump, is inflaming all of the tensions by, illegally putting the National Guard into all of these places. He's violating posse comitatus. He's going against the wishes of various governors and even the National Guard themselves, who say they don't need to be there and don't want to be there. Then essentially putting the blame on him by putting people in places they don't need to be and inflaming the tensions so that when violent things happen, he can justify doing it more, grabbing more executive power. It is very clearly at least his fault insofar as this never should have happened and wouldn't be happening under a Kamala presidency. Obviously, Donald Trump didn't shoot these people, but also by the Trump magatard standard of Trump, the Biden administration letting all these illegals in and then saying, oh, well, it's his fault for letting them in. Trump's administration granted this person asylum, so I'm also going to give him blame for that.
Okay, thank you for being here. I'm sure we'll get into it. Good logic.
Yeah, I'm Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Logic. I'm a nuke attorney converted into a podcaster, and the nonsense that the left is trying to... When I first heard the topic discussion was Trump is to blame for the shooting of the National Guard, I actually laughed out loud that they could try to spin this, that what it starts with is a premise that everything Trump is looking to do is motivated by evil. This is just an assumption that they build into whatever he says or does, that his objective is to just basically harm as many people as possible. And then they take a situation that they'll create a situation that is as volatile as possible and ratchet it up, going back to Biden bringing in ridiculous numbers of millions of illegal aliens, letting them stream across our borders, then trying to defend the criminal aliens. He's not even trying to get rid of your run-of-the-mill illegal aliens. He's trying to get rid of the criminals, and screaming and standing in front of ICE and trying to stand in front of federal officers doing their performing their duty. And then they turn around and say, well, this is all Trump's fault, while the left is continually ratcheting up the violence, ratcheting up just how they want their side to be as angry as possible. You'll hear them say, go out there, march, go out there, march. You'll never hear the left say, make sure you do it peacefully. You'll never hear that at all. And then when there's this terrible incident, which I assume that the people arguing against me would admit at least that this is a tragedy, that Sarah Beckstrom was shot. Another person, I think, is still in critical condition when I last heard. So that I think they would admit that this is a tragedy. Then they turn around and they say it's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault because he's trying to enforce the law, which is just preposterous. But I look forward to getting into their legal arguments so we can break this down for all of you.
Okay, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Next up, Andrew Branca. Is that how you say your last name? I apologize.
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Of course, I'm an attorney. I'm probably best known for the law of self-defense. I'm an expert, probably the preeminent expert in the nation on use of force law. And I do a lot of legal and political commentary. I think there's no rational view in which Trump has any legal responsibility for what happened here. We have an Afghan assassin who walked up to a woman with a revolver in his hand and shot her through the chest. There's only one person who caused that death. That's the Afghan rebel. We can engage in all kinds of estrogenic butterfly effects, and Trump is the bad daddy, so everything that happens that's bad is Trump's fault. But Trump has executive authority under Article 2. He's the democratically elected president. He's allowed to do things, including trying to ensure the safety of the American populace in its city. And if bad things happen because he's doing things he's allowed to do, it's the bad people who made that happen.
Okay, and with that, let's kind of get into it as we go. I guess I'd start by reading a tweet from Destiny here. And I'm curious if you stand by this position, sir, and then we can just kind of get into the open discussion. You said on 9/15 on November 26th, you wrote as follows. They weren't protecting D.C. They couldn't even make arrests. They were sent there to die by real Donald Trump and his cronies so they could rile up the base to distract them from the monumental failing of every single part of this administration. Is that your current position, sir?
Yes, I think that Trump is trying intentionally to inflame tensions as much as possible so that he can expand his executive power as much as possible. One thing that you're going to hear over and over again in this debate, it's already happened in the opening statements, is remember, every single time a conservative criticizes a Democrat, it's about what they should do, what their moral obligation is, and what a good leader would do to guide the country. But whenever they talk about Trump or the conservatives, it's always what is the outer perimeter of legal actions that he is theoretically allowed to take. There's no question of whether or not his leadership is moral or what his end game is on anything, although he would fail in the legal realm as he has been over and over again, and he would fail in these other two as well. But like the question is why? So for instance, earlier you talked about leftists celebrating violence. Why is Donald Trump incapable of saying that the entire country needs to be less violent? Why is he incapable of saying anything that equally criticizes his side?
See, this is
open discussion. So.
Right, and this is what the left this is what you on the left tend to do. It's you're continually ratcheting up the violence, and then you're looking for an all sides type of thing. And to harken back, and I don't want to get into the whole Black Lives Matter thing, but when we look back at 2020, when we saw the whole Black Lives Matter issue rise up, it was considered an affront for people and offensive for people to say all lives matter. Now, I think that if you actually step back from a practical perspective, you would agree that all lives matter. But given the context, the idea of saying all lives matter in that context was deemed offensive because there was some perceived unique, terrible position for the Black community. And it was as if you were disparaging their genuine plight by just trying to make it a general concern. So when you come here, Destiny, and you say, why can't he just say that all sides need to dial it back when there's been just bludgeoning from one side against the other, it just sort of rings as if you're trying to just whitewash. They're like, oh yeah, both sides are bad, when that's just not reality.
Sure.
It's not reality.
Two really quick and easy questions. Did Joe Biden condemn the BLM violence?
I wasn't looking to
The answer, okay, if you don't know, that's fine. The answer is yes. That's fine. No, wait. Well, I know you don't care because you don't care to make an impression. So the answer is yes, number one. And number two, did Donald Trump pardon every single January 6th protester?
We can't.
How
No one
is
can
that
hear each other.
relevant?
Hold on, just
Don't
real quick.
deflect
Just
to
real
something
quick.
irrelevant.
Hey,
I'm
just-
not deflecting. You brought up BLM. You brought up
you brought
BLM.
up
And I
BLM,
said,
dude.
no, I did bring up BLM, but I brought it up to make a point. That
Yeah,
in
your
certain-
point is
that in
wrong.
certain
That's the point I'm making, that your
there's
point is stupid.
No, the point that I'm making is that in certain situations, when you try and just deflect to saying, let's just make this a general message, it's ignoring the actual problem. You're trying to purposefully ignore the actual problem. In 2020, you wanted to. The left was saying that the other side is ignoring the problem by trying to say all lives matter. And what I'm saying is you're ignoring
I'm not
the
asking that
problem.
question. It was a
by
super
trying
easy
to say-
question. Did Biden condemn the
I
BLM
don't-
riots? Did Biden condemn the violence?
I have no idea. He wasn't empowered during the BLM riots.
He was running for election because he was running for election.
Like the face of the Democratic Party.
You literally can't even answer. You don't even know. Why even bring up BLM? If you don't know anything was going on at the time, then just don't bring it up. That was the first question. So the answer is yes. You can go research it later. The second question is, did Donald Trump pardon every single J6 protester? Did he?
Gang, both of you, please. We can't hear when you guys are talking over each other, so I'd ask that, again, you wait for the other person to finish their statement, then you can respond, and I'll try to make sure that you aren't interrupted during your response, and that's what we're
Because
going
he's trying-
Logic, to be clear, in your intro, you did
just real
say-
quick, Soy Pill.
Yeah?
Let Logic finish his statement, and then you can jump in, and Andrew seems to want in as well. So this will
No, I'm fine. I mean, I always
what
have
I'm
stuff to
saying
say,
is
but
you-
I'll let you guys go. It's okay.
I'll tag you in soon, brother.
He's about
My
to yap
point-
and not answer either of those questions, by the way.
No, my point is that you're trying to deflect into something that's relatively meaningless as to whether or not he actually condemned it. Who cares? How is that relevant to the point I was making? The only point I was
Because
making
you said that
is that
leftists were trying to ratchet up the
wait.
violence. What do you mean? How is it relevant? It
Logic,
speaks
you're-
directly to the issue. Hold on, just one more. I'm going to do this one more time, and then if he doesn't answer, that's fine. So the first question is: did Biden condemn the BLM riots? The answer is yes.
I have
did
no
Donald
idea.
Trump? That's
When?
fine.
When?
That's
When
fine.
did
Don't
he do
yap
it?
again.
What
I just
day? What
answer my
day?
second question. Answer
You
my
asked me
second.
a question. I
What?
answered it. I mean, you're answering a question for me, and you asked me a question, which I assume is a sincere question, and then you try to say yes, he did. So I say, when did he? When
He did
that
it on
happen?
August 31st, 2020. Look up YouTube Global News. There's a video titled Joe Biden Condemns Violence and Ongoing U.S. Protests. There you go. Look it up in your own time. Number one. The second question is, did Donald Trump pardon every single J6 protester / rioter?
100%.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Right.
Go-
So
you
the
can
reason
do-
this isn't
But you're
irrelevant, the reason this isn't irrelevant, God Logic, is because we're talking about how Trump has made the conditions for this violence to happen. Yeah, he didn't pick up the gun and shoot these National Guard members, but he's drumming up the rhetoric. And when you say, "Hey, the left never says be peaceful," Destiny brings up an example of Joe Biden explicitly doing that, and then we point out that Trump is refusing to condemn the right and is actually calling for the deaths of people in his own government. That this is part of the rhetoric that is causing these National Guard people to be shot. And you say, "Well, all lives matter." Oh, I'm deflecting to BLM. It's got to be a generalized statement. No, we're saying he needs to say turn down the rhetoric, and he's doing the opposite. He's inflaming everyone. He's getting people killed. That's where the blame comes from.
Well, first and foremost, I appreciate the promotion from good logic to God logic, but it's just good logic. And second, that's okay. No, that's okay. I just want to make sure we know what we're talking to here. But the point that you're trying to make, as far as him escalating, you have to sort of have to step back for a second and ask yourself, what exactly is he supposed to be dialing back from the right? You're saying that the left is that after there's violence that happens, the left tries to dial it back. What I'm saying to you is, what violence from the right are you even saying that he should be dialing back? You're trying to sit here and say that he should be
When he's saying we should hang members of our government. Well, you're asking me a question.
No,
when he
but
says we should hang members of our government, yeah.
Through
You think we should
trial.
dial that back?
Through trial. There's a very big difference between between saying, hey, these people need to be tried for some very serious crimes that I believe
And
they
killed
committed.
and murdered, yeah.
Because he believes they committed them.
Capital
Yeah,
punishment is not murder.
Excuse me, sorry. not murder, just
when you're the head of the executive and you're saying that your political opposition needs to be investigated, when we've already seen him fabricate indictments, calling out the specific
people can be
bullshit.
investigated.
Yeah,
Trump
that's
was
fine. But the
investigated,
president
was
of
he
the United
not?
States isn't
Everybody's
ordinarily.
investigated.
Sorry, I know you are pretending to be a lawyer, okay? But generally speaking, the president
Yeah.
of the United States does not give direct instruction to the head of the Department of Justice to issue indictments. That's why the last
he's
two
allowed to
cases.
do that. They work for him.
Oh, that's
The
great. Well,
Department of
do
Justice
they work
works
for
for
him
the
though? Because it
president.
seems like she wasn't even legally
Yes.
appointed, was she? Isn't Lizzie Halligan out now? Didn't
Yes.
all that get tossed now? Seems like it's all gone now, right? Huh? All right, looks like that wasn't very legal, huh? And now all of our cases are being looked at. So no, that wasn't the case.
Also,
Sorry.
Just real quick, Joe. No one can hear you on your channel.
So
I'm being told.
defensive.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Andrew,
rule of
go
law
ahead, you
matters to
first.
some of us, so it's kind of annoying to see the president of the United States so flagrantly abuse it.
Okay, first of all, the Department of Justice works for the president. He can tell them what to do. They're part of the executive branch. Second of all, capital punishment is not murder. It's state sanctioned. People get a trial. They get lawyers. They get juries. And sedition was made a capital offense by Congress, not by Trump. Congress created that law. Third of all violence is not bad. Why do you suggest that all the violence should be tamped down? Violence is not inherently bad. Violence in a good person is good.
But Gen 6 violence is bad.
Wait, just curious. When we say the president,
principle, though,
let
right?
Let him finish. Let Andrew finish.
When we say
and also Andrew, you're really low. Can you turn yourself up? Your volume's
when we say the president can give direction to the DOJ, is there any equivalent moment in the last 50 to 100 years of U.S. history where the president of the United States is directing his attorney general on who to prosecute, directing them on issuing indictments to political opponents, with even calling out the prosecutor?
How would you know? Those are private conversations.
Gotcha. So the answer to your question was no. The answer to your question was no. I asked if there's any evidence of it.
No, you're wrong.
There is no evidence of any of this.
100% there is.
What's the evidence?
Here's one of the things I'm about to tell you.
He's about to not tell us, by the way. Spoiler alert. Go ahead.
No. I'll tell you right now. The role of the DOJ is to be manifesting the will of the executive. This is one of the things that during the
There's a
confirmation
unitary executive theory. It's such bullshit.
You
You guys don't even believe in this shit. You would lose your mind if a Democrat did this. It's such bullshit. Yeah, because this is a child's. You don't even believe in this. It's so retarded.
You're terrified of actually hearing an answer. So you have to cut me off when you see I'm making a point that actually just completely blows up.
Can I just short circuit it and explain it like half the time it's going to take you to stumble through it?
Hold on.
I don't want you to short circuit because you do not know. It's not unitary executive theory. It is the sole purpose of the DOJ is to manifest the will. They are part of the executive branch.
Manifest the will of who?
Branch, of the executive.
Of the president?
Of the president
Then
of the
why do
United States.
special counsels exist? Why do special counsels exist?
Special counsels exist for when there's a conflict of interest.
Why would that matter if they're
why.
only there? Wait, how could there be a conflict of interest if they only exist there to manifest the will of the president?
You're proving
because
my point.
the president can have a conflict of interest.
Yes,
how can he conflict with interest with his own self, with his own Department of Justice?
Oh my God. Listen. Slow down for a second. Slow down, because I don't think you just understand basic civics about how our government
Basic civics,
functions.
but you won't give me an example of anybody doing what Trump did. Go ahead.
Every single president has directed their DOJ to focus on one area of law or another that they think is particularly important.
Focus on one area of law? Excuse me, that's not what we're talking about. I mentioned that Trump specifically called for indictments for two specific individuals who were political opponents, and he named the prosecutor that he wanted to lead. So who else has done this? So who did this? Did Obama do this? Did Biden do this? Give me the example. Everybody does it. Who does it? Give me an example.
First and foremost, Obama did it far worse. Give
me an example. Who did he target?
No, Obama did it far more in a nefarious way because what he did is he actually weaponized all of his different executive agencies.
No example. The IRS bullshit. He has no arguments. You have nothing for this. At least, can you at least concede you have no evidence of this?
Just real quick, just housekeeping here. Gang, if you keep interrupting, we can't understand what they're trying to say. So
I'm trying to make a point, and you just also say he's saying nothing. He's saying nothing.
And then you can respond, I promise.
Apparently, I'm saying so much nothing.
Let him finish, please.
Apparently, I'm saying so much nothing, you need to cut me off in the middle. The point is that he is, as the head of the executive, this is an executive agency. That is what the DOJ is. When you get Adam Schiff up there, and he's questioning Pam Bondi, saying, I'm afraid you're going to be Trump's man. It's for a woman. The point is, she's supposed to be.
No, they're not. That's just not true. You're lying. You're lying. That's not true.
Merrick Garland was 100% Biden's man. That's exactly.
Then why was a special prosecutor appointed to investigate Biden's documents?
Because when you have, you're only proving my point.
That's why. That's why.
No, because the point is that if the president was the unitary controller of the attorney general, the president would tell the attorney general, don't investigate this. You see how easy that is? You see how stupid your theory is?
Destiny, think for a second. If it was already an independent agency, there could not be a conflict of interest between the DOJ and the president. It's because the DOJ is an extension of the president that you need to have some internal affairs type of agency, which we call special counsel or special prosecutor, to go after someone who's in the president's orbit. That's why you
Why wouldn't the president just tell them, don't do that investigation? Why wouldn't the president say, just don't? Why wouldn't the president say, don't investigate that?
I'm almost done. Because of the fact that the DOJ is viewed as an extension of the president, when there's something around the president that might be illegal, that's why you need a third-party special prosecutor to come in. That's what you need. It's the proof that they're actually defaulting, that they are part of the executive agency, part of the will of the president. In fact, that's the only way we, the people, have any power over them is through the president directing them. That's how we actually have representation in who's being prosecuted. Now, go ahead with your question.
Sure. So two things. So just real quick. So one, there's a difference between having a legal agenda and directing somebody to prosecute particular political opponents. You acknowledge that, right?
Why? No. Why? Why would that be? Why is that different?
Just let me, I'm sorry, hold on, let me just restate that. I'm not going to say it. If you want to make yourself sound that stupid, that's fine. You do not recognize a difference or a distinction between a president saying, I would like to focus more on this kind of crime, versus the president saying, these two opponents of mine, political opponents from 2 administrations ago, I want you to prosecute them. If you say there's no distinction.
Are there grounds for prosecution?
You wouldn't know before until you do the investigation. Isn't that kind of part of what the DOJ does? Number one.
That's
number two. Number two. No, why do you keep laughing? You're not making a point.
Investigative agency. The DOJ
really?
is
What
not
does the FBI do? How does the DOJ get evidence for an indictment to go to a
It's
grand
a different
jury?
agency.
It's
The
under
FBI is
the
a different
DOJ.
agency
What are you? It's literally a subsidiary of the DOJ. What are you talking about? Okay, stop. Okay, the question was, if this is so ordinary, if this is so commonplace, then just show me one other time it's happened. It should be really easy. If presidents do this all the time, what other president has directed his attorney general? Give me one example. Don't just say it happens all the time. Give me an example.
Would you like
War
me
on
to answer?
drugs. War
on drugs? That's not an answer. Are we just saying random words together?
Stop, Brinka. Do you have an answer to his question?
It's irrelevant whether it's
Thank you.
ordinary, if it's within the president's authority, and it is. He's allowed to do
cool.
unordinary things.
Why not just say
let's
that?
just
Just
go
say
back to
that.
the
It's
whole thing
extraordinary.
where
It's
we're-
never
I just
happened.
said it.
Yeah, that's great. Just open
I
with that
just
next time
said
instead of
it.
saying everybody does it. Not everybody does it. Trump is the most
Can't
egregious
open with anything
abuser of the DOJ.
because you won't stop talking.
Well, you say wrong shit. I can't help it.
Describing this as vaguely as possible. It's, hey, this is the president's purview to do this thing and direct these departments. And we're saying, hey, when
I'll
has
be
the
as
president
specific
ever
as you want me to
called
be.
for the killing of people within his government in this certain way? Not, hey, he's going and saying maybe we could kill American citizens if it helps the war on drugs, or hey, we need to kill people
Obama
at the
killed
border.
American
Specifically-
citizens. He didn't just
specifically
call for it. He
calling
did it.
for-
Obama
yeah,
went
I
to
know
Eric
that
Holder and
Obama
he
did
asked his
a
DOJ
drone
and his office of
strike.
legal counsel. He had the authority to do it. He didn't direct them. That's the difference between Obama
Why
and
does
Trump.
his DOJ give him
Barr
authority?
literally.
How does his
Barr
DOJ give him authority?
He went to
That's
them
like
for the
you
legal
firing a
memo. What do you mean? The
secretary.
whole Eric Holder memo literally details this. He went to them to
That's
find
like
out if
you-
he felt he had the authority to
That's
even
like-
act this way. There's a difference between him and Trump
president
firing
is
every
not
attorney general that
subordinate
he
to
doesn't
the
agree
Department
with.
of Justice. The president is not subordinate
Steve?
to the Department of
The
Justice.
president
that's
is
like-
subordinate to the
Steve.
Constitution of the United States, and he's supposed to act in a way that comports with what the law is. So the
Yes.
president might consult
Yes.
his Department of Justice
Yes.
instead of like Donald Trump, who only confers with his personal attorneys, and instead of
DOJ
breaking every law and hoping to win in
He can
court,
still
Obama
do
tried
it.
to follow the law ahead of time, which is what you're supposed to do. The law is there to check your behavior before you do. It's not there as a consequence for you to intentionally break it over and over again.
Okay,
Can I
we
ask
gotta
a
let
question?
the other side respond without
Sorry.
interruption, just for a little bit. Okay, just go ahead, Bronca, please. You can respond.
If it's
I'll try to
okay
make
for
sure you aren't
Obama,
interrupted. Go ahead.
if it's okay for Obama to actually kill American citizens, why would it be inappropriate for Trump to advocate killing American citizens without actually doing it?
Because Obama was exercising his powers as the head of the military, as the commander in chief.
Trump's not
No,
even-
as the commander in
Trump is
chief,
not
number
even
one, and number
doing
two,
anything.
it was in a theater of war where we already had a pre-existing authorization
No,
for the
there
use of
was no
military
war.
force. In order for it, we already have a broad AUMF that has been not challenged by any prior president to operate in the Middle East. Now, unless I'm not aware of this, were any of the people that Donald Trump said should be tried for seditious conspiracy or whatever, were any of these people part of Al Qaeda or some terrorist outfit that I'm just not aware of that Trump didn't
Don't need to
publicize
be.
information about?
Sedition doesn't require that.
Oh, do we have any evidence of them committing sedition?
Yes, we have a
saw
video of
it.
them committing
It was
sedition.
on video.
Oh, okay, wait. So just to be clear,
It was on video.
okay, so Donald Trump retweeting things saying that these people should be tried and executed, that in and of itself is totally fine, but a bunch of people going on video saying you shouldn't follow unlawful orders, which is literally part of the military code, that's seditious behavior?
Yes, it's sedition in the broader political context.
It's
Sure.
literally
Anyway,
not. It's
a jury
absolutely
would
not. So you're
decide.
completely destroyed on
of
that.
course
You've
it
been
is.
mogged
Of course
completely
it
out of
is.
existence. What a stupid.
Well,
How
you
could you
could-
possibly think that these
No.
people committed seditious conspiracy,
Yeah,
but Donald Trump,
they
who's
did.
literally retweeting people saying
100%.
they should be. So now in the future, just to be
hold on,
clear,
let them make the
anytime I say
argument.
somebody should be killed, I should just say first, oh, he should be tried for a crime and killed first. And then we're safe. Oh, it's a genius idea. Oh my God.
Destiny,
Hold on,
Destiny,
stop,
Destiny.
Stop, please. I want to hear the argument. So the argument about the sedition. Why is it sedition? Why is them going on to and making an ad saying you should disobey unlawful orders? How is that sedition? Can you make the argument?
That would not be seditious. It's
The trouble
seditious
is,
in the
it's not just that. It's the context. It's the context in which they're saying that, and it's simultaneously they're saying, by the way, everything Trump's doing is unlawful. They're saying
Did they say that in that
everything he's
video?
doing-
They said that in
Or
that
are you just
video?
kind of implying that?
It doesn't have to
They
be.
said
in
we
one
say we
video.
understand you're
Sedition
under
doesn't-
intense pressure.
Okay, so
Yeah, they're under
when
intense
these
pressure.
people put
Yeah.
out a thing, you have to read between the lines and imply what they're saying.
Yep.
But when
No,
Trump
you
comes
don't
out
have to
and says,
imply what you're
Remember
saying.
what I
members
said.
of my
Liberals
government,
need to
no,
act
that's totally
moral
fine.
and above board on
No,
everything, but Donald Trump is only constrained by
If
the outer
they
perimeter
weren't
of our
saying it-
delusional interpretation of law. Amazing.
No. When they go out there, and weeks earlier, Slotkin is going out there saying he's issuing illegal orders, and then she comes out here.
literally
Okay,
came out and
okay,
watched
okay.
plays now.
So you're only making
Did she
you're
say
only
every single thing he does is legal?
soy pill. What you're
not
doing
required.
is you're arguing against yourself. You don't even
Just real
realize.
quick,
You don't even
Andrew,
realize
your-
when you
your
make a
mic
point
keeps
against
getting
yourself.
lower as you go. I don't know if you're turning it down, but it was good for a minute, and then
Yeah.
it's gone lower.
Soy pill, you're actually arguing against yourself because when you have these senators and these congressmen and women who go out there and say he's issuing illegal orders, and then they say if an illegal order is issued, you're honor bound on the Constitution to disobey it. The only possible purpose for making that is to basically plant the seed in the minds of military that every time they have an order, they should sit there and try calculate, is this constitutional? Do I think it's constitutional? When you try to actually put this into a practical sense, rather than applying it to an individual
Were
scenario.
both those statements true?
When,
Were both the
wait,
statements
wait,
true?
wait.
Wasn't Trump issuing illegal
first
orders?
of all, no, he
on,
wasn't.
Oh,
no, he
so
wasn't.
when
Wait,
it was
hold on.
reported to murder the people in the Venezuelan boats, even when they blew the boats up, that's not an illegal
It's
order.
not murder. Not murder.
What is it then? For a country that we're not at war with, what would you consider that?
Wait.
It's
Dustin, we cannot-
a lawful killing.
How
We
is it a
cannot let
lawful
them
killing?
move on from
What
this.
is the law?
Wait,
Self-defense
wait,
lawyer, you said? What is the? Sorry, my God, go.
We
Soy-
can't let them move
Soy
on from this
Pill,
because Flawed Logic just said there is no other possible explanation.
Wait, which
other
name did I
than
get
to-
now?
Flawed
What?
Logic? What was it?
You called him
I think-
Chud Logic. He's good logic. I promise
My
you.
bad.
It's not
Whatever.
God
Anyway,
logic. It's not
He
Chud
said
logic.
the
it's
only
good
explanation for Slotkin saying this is to plant the seed of doubt and make them question every order. Why is it in the military training to say you shouldn't obey illegal orders? Is it to make every single military person like question every single order and like, oh, we want to have a military that's insubordinate? Or is it because you aren't allowed to follow illegal orders and you
It's the
can't
very
just use
same
the-
people. That's a good question.
Go ahead.
It's a fair question, Soy Pill. And I'll tell you, it's the very same people and those in their camp who are continually saying there's one illegal order after another where they've continually been proven wrong. They've basically been
This
claiming
isn't
this is
answering my
illegal,
question
that's
at all.
illegal.
You just said
I will
that
answer your
Slotkin-
question.
No,
so
you're
when she's
completely-
going
no,
out
this
there
isn't my
and
question at
saying,
all.
no, because in the military, when they're being trained, they're not being
Mm-hmm.
trained. Hey, you're going to be getting a whole bunch of illegal orders. So make sure that you're only following constitutional orders. They don't
Mm-hmm.
get that in their training. They don't get that warm up. When you're getting as a follow up, as a follow through to, there's all sorts of unconstitutional orders. And hey, by the way, military, when you get a constitutional order, you better make sure you don't follow it. And there's also
Mm-hmm.
even a veiled threat in there. The veiled threat is that when we come back into power, if we decide to determine those are unconstitutional, we're going to prosecute you military members for following these orders. And you're not going to be able to say, and we've even heard Schumer go out there, and we've heard others say that, hey, you're not going to be able to say we were following orders. Remember the Nuremberg trials. That's what the left has been saying right now. So in this entire context, the only reason to do it is to weaken the military and have our military members basically question every single order rather than relying on the default that our military has had for the last 250 years that, hey, when I get an order, it's constitutional.
Okay, so
You
you
gotta
keep
let
saying
Soy
only
Pill
reason,
respond.
only reason. Could it be possible? Is there not a world that exists in which Donald Trump has done something illegal and people want the people not to follow that order? Is that possible?
That is,
They can't name one.
Okay.
The
Well, I just
murder of
named
the
one, which is
Venezuelan
the
people after the
Venezuelan
boats,
boat
killing
thing, so-
people after the boats already been destroyed.
you
Not that's a war
and
crime
you keep
and it's
saying
illegal
only
in the United
reason.
States. You can't do that.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Great arguments. Yes, you can.
So wait,
no, you
no,
can't.
wait. So you
Okay,
think?
Well, what do we
hold
want?
on,
I can appeal
let's
to the
pause
Rome
here.
Statute. I know we're not party to the ICC. I can appeal to international customary humanitarian law. You're not allowed to kill people that are no longer enemy combatants. Like what for military law, you're not allowed to kill people that have already surrendered. White flag laws and all these things are part of our military code of conduct. So what are you citing? What do you think that you're allowed to kill people who aren't able to participate in combat anymore? What are you citing to? What do you
weren't
think?
surrendered.
What?
They weren't surrendered.
How do you even know they were shooting at them from drones?
Okay, just real
They
quick.
weren't surrendered. They
Oh
weren't
my
taken
God.
into custody.
Before we go on,
That
just
taken
to
into custody is
add
not the
some
same as
context.
surrendered.
Hold on, stop, please. In the DoD's Law of War Manual, and this was updated in July 2023, and I'm gonna just read from this directly. This can give some context to the audience. Under Section 5.9, persons placed hors de combat. Persons, including combatants, placed hors de combat may not be made the object of attack. Persons placed hors de combat include the following categories of persons, provided they abstain from any hostile act and do not attempt to escape. 1. Persons in the power of an adverse party. 2. Persons not yet in custody who have surrendered. 3. Persons who have been rendered unconscious or otherwise incapacitated by wounds, sickness, or shipwreck. And 4. Persons parachuting from aircraft in distress. So, if the Washington Post report is correct, Andrew, could you give us the legal reasoning that, in your opinion, in your argument, why those shipwrecked narco guys were a legal target?
Well, they weren't shipwrecked. They were blown up.
What do you think shipwrecked means?
Shipwrecked means a ship wrecks on a reef.
No, that's not what it means. It means your ship has been rendered incapacitated. It could have been because it got wrecked, or it could have been it got blown up. The reality is that the people on the ship, even if they were enemy combatants, of which we have no proof of, by the way, even if they were, as soon as their ship has been rendered unable to perform any combat functions, and the people in the water, they have obtained.
Where does it say that?
Say why?
No.
You're a lawyer.
So,
what? I'm curious. I'm curious. Wait. No. Inform us. You're a lawyer. When there are words that appear legally and there are statutes, how would you figure out? How would you figure out what it actually means? What would you do? What would you look up?
Are you allowed to shoot enemy soldiers who are running away?
Yes.
Okay. So why is this any different?
Because they're shipwrecked. They don't have the opportunity. They're not running away. They're in water. They're shipwrecked.
What about soldiers who are running away? They're not attacking you at the moment.
Because soldiers that are running away are still considered part of combat. Fleeing is a military operation.
Right. Why would these people in the boats get the benefit of the law of warfare where they're not engaged in any recognized military force or warfare?
Because when you're not a savage, that's how you conduct yourself as a first world country, especially as a country that says that we don't exist under the Rome Statute because we're not signatories to the ICC. We have our own military courts that are supposed to hold our own behavior accountable. That's why stuff like Abu Ghraib and that's why stuff like Gitmo is not always on the up and up. And some of it we went after. So the answer is there is international customary humanitarian law where all of us agree that there are certain rules. You can't torture people. You can't rape people.
Let me know when
you
you're
can't
done.
capture people. Well, I'm informing you since you apparently don't know anything about international law.
You're not
Murdering
answering the
people,
question. Just let me know when you're done.
The question specifically is you can't murder people that are
No.
just swing.
For people to have the protection of the law of war, they have to qualify for the protection of the law of war. These are regular combatants engaged in chemical warfare against the United States. Don't qualify for the law.
Number one, even if what you just said was true, they do qualify. Number two, you have no evidence of any of those claims. An enemy combatant that is shipwrecked qualifies
Where?
for prisoner of war status. Where what?
They're not in uniform. They're not.
They don't have to
part
be
of
in
a
uniform.
formal military force. Okay.
Doesn't matter. I know it hurts. Yeah, I know. It's okay.
Andrew,
Your daddy
please
Trump
finish
just
your
commits
point.
war crimes or Hexeth, whatever you want to say. I know it hurts, but
you guys, gang, I love the energy. I love the passion. It's really great content. But we gotta let Andrew finish his point, please. Andrew, go ahead.
No, I'll let Destiny go. I just do want to say, however, that I guess I misunderstood what the nature of the format would be here. I'm unlikely to stay for 2 hours to get yelled at by Destiny. That's not a good use of my time. So if we could maybe have questions and answers and people have an opportunity to exchange views and positions, we don't have to agree, but we can inform the audience that way. Getting yelled at by Destiny for 2 hours isn't informing anybody.
I'll be nicer.
We probably get more. We'll probably get further if you actually let people like respond, and rather than just trying to cut them down before they finish, you actually just let them respond.
It would be nice if they were responsive to
Great.
my questions. That'd be nice. We'd probably get somewhere faster.
We got it. Okay.
And instead of mischaracterizing as not being responsive, I'll tell you. You tell me how it fails to respond, and I'll tell you how it is. Andrew could do the same.
Also,
but I do agree.
what was the question for the debate? Because we seem to have wandered
that's
somewhat
what I'm
far
trying to do.
afield.
Please. I'm trying to rein it back in, right? We're going to be talking about the shooting of the National Guard members, right? And who bears responsibility and to what extent they bear responsibility, and if Trump does so. So let's kind of reset, get it back on track. Okay. So
I have a question because they really want to answer questions.
go ahead. Ask your question. I better be on track or else
Do you think Donald Trump has ever toned down rhetoric, or has he only ever made it worse in the last year?
He's allowed to engage in rhetoric. He's a politician. He has no
That's not what I
obligation
asked.
to.
I didn't.
I'm
He's
sorry.
allowed.
He's asking
I'm
if he
sorry.
has.
Wait, I
I'm
asked
sorry.
if he has.
I don't
I thought
follow.
you were here to answer my questions, not say whether or not it was okay what Trump did.
All right, I get to speak what I'd like to say. Is that okay? You can
No,
can
answer
tell
my
the
question.
audience
It's
that
not
I failed.
okay.
Let him give his answer, and if it's not responsive to your question, you can remind him of that after he's given his answer.
I don't work for you, Soy Pill. I don't have to answer questions to your satisfaction.
Yeah, well, you also
I will
have a
answer
goldfish
I'm
memory.
sorry.
So 3
Oh,
seconds after I
hold
ask
on.
my question,
No,
please
okay,
answer
I'm
it.
gonna have to start meeting people.
I'm
hate
gonna
to do
bow
this.
out if this is. I'm not spending 2 hours of my night like this. This is pointless.
You just answer my question.
Finish your statement, Andrew. Go ahead, please.
State your question, Soy Pill, and I will provide the answer I believe is appropriate for me. Go ahead.
Okay, has Donald Trump ever turned down the rhetoric, or has he only ever inflated it and made it worse?
I think
Especially in
the
the
questions
last
are
year.
Okay, the question's irrelevant because Donald Trump has no obligation to turn down the
Okay,
rhetoric.
cool.
He's
So you're
a
not going to answer my question. So you
politician.
can stop talking now. You can bow out now if
All
you're
right,
not going to
no, we
respond to
can.
anything
No,
I say.
no, we
I'm
can't.
out. I'm
I
out.
muted him.
All right, bye. See ya, dude. You're useless,
I
dude.
muted. I guess.
Remember at the start I said this is what all Republicans do is Trump is just given the outer perimeter of what he's legally allowed to do, but then on the other end, by the way, those politicians were allowed to make that video, right?
Well, hold on.
I think they
Allowed
actually.
to.
I think they probably broke the law. Actually,
You're unfucking believable. You're a disgusting, like a subhuman. I can't believe that you guys, the free speech
That's the
guys,
debate.
would say
This is-
stuff
this
like
is
this.
your
It's
debate.
unbelievable to
Okay,
me.
why?
This
How?
is your
Hold on,
debate.
just real quick, Destiny, please. Why did they break the law? Give us that argument, please.
when they're under 18 U.S.C. 2387, that they're trying to demoralize and discourage the military from actually following their commanding officers. That's what they're trying to do. That's what their objective is. You know it also. You can pretend that you don't know that that's what their objective is. Their objective is that every time an order comes down, which the left may question, that they have to sit there and think to themselves, is this something that I can get in trouble for down the road? That's what their objective is. Why else are they making the video? You have no answer to that because that's the only possible motivation.
No. The possibility is they don't want. Could it be? This might be a stretch. Okay, maybe they just don't want them to follow unlawful orders.
Right. Okay. But then you wouldn't put it under the context of literally days after Alyssa Slotkin goes out there, says that Trump is issuing illegal orders.
Well, wait. Wasn't Trump issuing illegal orders? Didn't that happen?
No, he wasn't.
So the murdering of the people
believes he did something illegal.
So now you want to go into the whole murdering that happened after the video was made. Right?
Oh, how about we can talk about stealing the National Guard from the governors when Trump is using the National Guard and redeploying them to states without the governor's consent?
That actually so far when it was bouncing around the Ninth Circuit, it actually held up pretty well. See what ends up happening when these things go through the court. This is another problem with just telling a military member you decide what's unconstitutional.
Let
me just finish my point.
You made a claim. You made a claim. Wait, just real quick. You made a claim. My understanding is the last thing that went through the DC thing, they said no, he wasn't allowed to do that. That deployment was illegal. Is that true or not true?
It depends on there's so many cases going on. I'm not going to tell you that I can tell you in this court versus in that court that this is the status as of right now here versus that one over there. Now, maybe somehow you got your hands on some sort of AI there, which is able to flesh out for you in the Ninth Circuit versus DC Circuit versus what's happening in Washington versus what's happening in Illinois and California. Maybe you have something that can do that. I don't profess to have encyclopedic knowledge of the thousands of cases that the left has ended up causing because Trump became president. They just not happy with any order he issues, that they're going to try and fight it in one jurisdiction after another. So I can't tell you.
Wait, hello?
In jurisdiction Y. What's your issue? You okay?
No,
you cut out.
You cut out
for a minute.
Okay.
I don't know, but
So
then isn't it possible then? But for what? Sorry, isn't it possible then that Slotkin really did believe then, if this is really complicated and some courts are ruling some ways and some courts are ruling, that maybe these people did believe that Trump is issuing illegal orders?
Oh no, it's very possible. It's very possible they thought.
When you said
so, don't they have the freedom? Don't they have the freedom to say? Don't they have the freedom then to say?
No, because here's the question: they have to be acting under the default that it is constitutional, especially because so many of these orders that at the lower level are declared unconstitutional, and then as soon as you get to the circuit court, they say no, that's totally fine. So now how is it that if judges who are proficient in the law and understand the law are sitting here arguing about what's constitutional and what's not, how can it possibly be healthy or natural or normal for any typical military member sit there trying to figure out what the ultimate determination of law will be on this particular action that he has yet to take?
Well, they already have that. They already have that burden. Wait, you asked a question. Do you understand they already have that burden, right? They're already supposed to do that.
That burden is so obviously egregiously beyond what the Constitution Constitution allows.
Like killing people in the middle of the ocean outside a country that we're not even declared war against?
You're coming to this case, which came up
With
after
the
they made the video. And and I'll tell you right now, I haven't researched the law because I didn't think that when we're talking about whether or not shooting the National Guard is Trump's fault is going to somehow lead itself to a conversation about shooting down a boat in the Pacific. So I didn't look that up. And I'm not going to speak without knowing what the law is in that particular circumstance.
Okay, because we can talk about something that Trump did that's relevant, like how the most recent case from Cobb says that what he did in deploying the National Guard was illegal. Do you think that they should ignore those orders because the person ruled
at which level? At which level of court is that?
I don't remember what
exactly. It wasn't the Supreme Court. It wasn't the Supreme Court. And that's my point, is that these cases go back and forth. Now, you have to put this in a practical sense because...
Wait, hold on. I'm so sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. Just real quick. Well, because he just misquoted something, because maybe he doesn't know the difference. I don't know if he knows what a preliminary injunction is or a TRO is, but you don't need the Supreme Court to rule on something to stay or to order a preliminary injunction or a TRO. So I don't know why you just said, why you're pretending that something needs to go all the way up to the Supreme Court before a lawful order is issued. Okay, just to be clear. Go ahead.
I'll answer that question, which is a pretty simple question. Every time there's been a TRO that's been issued against him, Trump has fought against it all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Every time. It doesn't. Hold on. Excuse me. Are you implying? Let me just be clear. Are you implying that if a TRO is issued, is approved against you at a district or a circuit court, that if you violate the lawful command of that TRO, of that preliminary injunction, that if it eventually gets overturned to the Supreme Court, you won't face some kind of contempt or criminal consequences?
Trump hasn't done that. He's actually bent over backwards. You want to know what Trump's biggest problem is?
Can you answer that question real quick? Why can't you answer any question?
Let him respond if he doesn't.
He didn't answer the question. He just lied and said that Trump hasn't done it. Trump did do it, by the way. It was a huge issue with the immigration case where they ignored the order that was issued. You're lying, because I have to correct the record.
I'm not lying.
They told the planes to turn around and they didn't do it, and they're getting in trouble for the fact that they violated that TRO, even if it was eventually overturned at a higher court. You still have to listen to the orders of the court. You got to assume you'll win later on.
This is exactly the point. Judge Boasberg, when he's sitting there trying to say, I'm in D.C. and I'm going to start directing the President of the United States as to what he can do with his military planes that are flying out of Texas and going south of the border, and I'm going to start telling him what he can do with these military planes. The audacity of Judge Boasberg in that moment was unconscionable.
The audacity of a federal judge in the federal 100%. Jurisdiction to make orders related 100%. To the rights of American citizens? What the are you talking about? I'm sorry, hold on. Do we need the Gulf of America judges to make the rulings on this? Look, who would be the one to make the ruling?
I understand you haven't spent 10 seconds in law school, so you don't understand what jurisdiction means.
But he has explain to me jurisdiction. Jurisdiction. You're right. Hold on. Wait. He has no jurisdiction. Well, first of all, he's jurisdiction in venue right now. No. Yeah, explain jurisdiction. Who would have jurisdiction over that?
Because of lack of venue, he doesn't have jurisdiction.
So then I was right. You need a courthouse that's floating in the Gulf of America that has proper venue and jurisdiction to hear the case? Is that what you need? No. Who has jurisdiction to hear that case? Tell me.
Because you're ignorant of the law.
See how he's doing the insults now? He has no argument. Who has the jurisdiction then? Which court hears that case? Which court hears that case?
One name after another.
Which court hears the case? Which court hears the case?
Jesse, please.
That would be. It would probably be a district court in Texas where it flies out of.
No, it doesn't have to be a district court in Texas. You don't know where they fly out of. You don't.
Counselor Destiny's coming here telling me it doesn't have to be there. Well, apparently the Supreme Court thought you're wrong. Maybe they should consult with you. You know the law far better than everyone else. You're sitting here mocking, saying everyone else is stupid or a liar, blah, 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 and over-talking them when you have no idea how the law actually functions. And you're
why did the court say that Texas, why did the court say that they had to issue it out of Texas, a Texas court had to hear it instead of the DC one?
I'm sorry.
Why does the Texas court? Why is that the proper venue versus the DC one?
Because it's flying out of Texas.
Okay. What was the issue that the plaintiffs brought up in the DC case?
Which issue? Which DC case?
The one that you're talking about, where they said that the Venezuelans that brought up the case eventually it was in front of Boasberg in the DC circuit, and eventually it was ruled against them. They had to bring it up in Texas instead, right? What was the issue?
And Boasberg got overruled.
Yeah, what were the plaintiffs' issues with that?
Because he didn't have jurisdiction.
What were the plaintiffs?
You're missing the entire point.
It's venue. Okay, no, I'm not missing the entire point. You're misleading. You're misleading. Yes, but the issue was they couldn't choose a proper venue because the people had no notice about where they were being flown out to. venue. That was the whole issue, is that Trump issued this order on a Friday night. The plaintiffs brought it to a court with proper, they could hear it federally. It was a jurisdictionally federal case, but they had to do it properly in a different venue because the government successfully argued in front of this joke Supreme Court that this was a habeas corpus claim and not an administrative procedures claim, okay? But the issue is that, but the issue the plaintiffs had was that they didn't even know. Well, hold on, I'm not even,
You gotta let him respond, please. He lost his teammate. His teammate decided that, whatever. I don't know.
Okay, here. So then the question: if it would have been a Texas, court, then would he have said a Texas court could have turned the planes around?
Good logic, please go ahead.
It's an interesting legal question as to whether or not they've.
Oh my God! All right, sorry.
You asked me a question. I'm giving you a fair answer. Okay. You asked me a question. I'm giving you an answer. What I'm saying is, you assume that courts are God. And I
assume the courts can tell you what the law is. I'm sorry. Trump is God to you.
The Constitution. No, I don't think Trump is God. I think Trump is very fallible. I think he made a lot of mistakes. Perhaps, arguably, that he's not fascistic enough. Because if he was more of a fascist, if he was the fascist that the left claims that he is, if in fact he was, in that case, you wouldn't have Sarah Beckstrom dead right now, right? The reason this guy's here, I'm going to try to bring this back to the actual conversation, to the premise that we have here. Why is this guy here in this country? Everyone loves to say that Trump's court in April actually approved and gave him asylum. But the reason they ended up giving him asylum is because the way the law was built and baked specifically by the Biden administration was that unless this guy had committed fraud or some crime after he got here that he was convicted in a court of law for, they had to grant him the asylum. So they basically made it. They brought in all these millions of people, and in Operation Al and the OAW of where they basically say, "Hey, we're going to bring in all of these Afghanis." They basically and then they assigned them temporary protected status. What they basically said is, "We're going to fast track you to getting you legalized here without any vetting, and then we're just going to basically say, oh, okay, you now can apply, and it's going to be impossible for a court to remove you because based on the way the law is written, and you have to follow what the law says based on what the law is written." Yeah, he does.
So Trump had no issue. So Trump had no issue flying these people to Venezuela, some of which have been brought back now. He had no issue doing any of that, but he was forced to grant asylum to this guy.
Well, first and foremost, like I said, Boasberg did not have jurisdiction. You see, you're trying to deflect over to that whole Boasberg situation.
No, you literally said Trump has to follow the law. When you were just talking about how Trump doesn't have to follow the law like 10 minutes ago.
No.
I said
the only reason that Sarah Beckstrom is dead is because he's not a fascist. Because if he was a fascist,
why was that guy even there?
Because Biden set up that it was impossible to legally remove him. He set up that it was impossible to legally remove him. That's my point. Let me just finish this point. That if Trump was the fascist he was and he wants all these people gone, he would have ignored the law and say, I don't care what the law says, I'm deporting them. But he hasn't been doing that.
He literally did that when he invoked the Alien Enemies Act.
He did, but my point is, every single time, instead, what would a fascist do? A fascist would basically take his military and have them do what he wants. Instead, he tries to work within the confines of the law. Now, you don't like the way he tries to work within the confines of the law.
Trump using the military
you gotta let him finish.
Well, he keeps off like 6 different points. They're all contradictory. Like, can we not jump in and tell him when he's being stupid?
I'll give you uninterrupted time as soon as he's done. My God, you guys are making me... Okay. Sorry.
You have like a little notepad everything so I can see all his different points and remember which ones are the dumb ones I have to respond to.
All right. You see, all you have is trying to disparage me without actually refuting a single thing I say, which I take that as a compliment. Now,
to be clear, we've refuted tons of things, right? You haven't given a single example of anybody conducting himself the way that Trump has, correct? You conceded that point entirely.
That what?
That nobody has ordered their DOJ around like Donald Trump has. Nobody's done that. You can't give a single example of that. It's unprecedented.
No, what Trump does is what he does is with transparency. He does it publicly.
No, it's a conversation. Wait, is my thing lagging? Did somebody just ask if Trump was transparent or public? I didn't hear that. So I don't know who you're talking to right now. I said, is there any example of anybody ordering their DOJ around like Trump does? And you just said, you mumbled something about transparent. I don't know what you're talking about. Do you have any examples of that?
Because I don't know what conversations are happening.
Why can't you just say no? Why can't you say no? There are no examples. Trump is acting in an unprecedented manner.
I don't know that it is.
He's assuming that every other
then why haven't you? Then why can't you provide a single example? If this is so common, give me a single example of another president ordering their DOJ like this to arrest particular political opponents.
Soypol just gave you the answer. He just told you what I said. That you pretended I didn't answer, but he understood what I was saying.
Okay,
No, yeah, but that's a stupid point. I was summarizing your stupid point. It's still
Okay.
fucking
Well,
stupid.
you can disagree with me, but
Okay,
like,
so
you're
can you say-
pretending that-
so you
you're
can say
pretending
there are
that
no
I'm not-
I
examples?
can't imagine. I can't look into every single government document. Therefore, I can't say for certain that no one has done what Trump has done, even though Trump is the only one we know who has actually done it. That's what you're saying.
He's the only one who tells you what he's going to do before he does it. He tells you
Okay,
by True
that's not an
Social,
argument.
which
Hey,
you
do
can.
you know-
so-
does
so-
Donald Trump know about the existence of aliens?
I don't know what you're trying to go to.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, he hasn't said it publicly, so like I can only assume that it must maybe be true that every president knows about the existence of aliens, and we can all just operate under that assumption instead of no, because we have zero evidence of it, and there would be no reason to assume it's true, right?
I have no idea where you're going here. I have no
Because
idea what
you
your
are
point is.
assuming that every other president has maybe done just as bad as what Trump has done with the DOJ, only because they've done it clandestinely. We have
There's
zero
indicia of
evidence
that. There's indicia of that.
Okay, what's one example?
When you refute the indicia, which I said, if you're weaponizing your tax agency, you think you're not weaponizing your DOJ? That's the first place you go is
So
hey,
that
let's
was
harass
never-
them with taxes.
There's not even
You
proof
think
of that.
that's
But
the
we're not
first thing that
talking about.
happens?
We're not talking about the IRS. I'm talking about the Department of Justice. Whereas the President of the
Yeah,
United
and-
States told
and
the
my
Department of
point
Justice on
is-
who to prosecute. There's no. Just
I
say
don't
there's
know.
no
We saw-
examples. That's
we
fine.
saw-
You can say there's no examples of that in the public
Oh,
record.
what's Jack Smith? What's Jack Smith?
Jack
What's
Smith
that?
was a special counsel that was appointed by the Attorney General.
Yeah, but who's the Attorney General work for?
The Attorney General didn't communicate, but because you say who does he work for? That's
Who does he
not-
work for?
The American people. The Attorney General is appointed
No, he doesn't.
by the President of the United States. The
No,
Attorney
he
General
doesn't.
does
We
not
covered
take.
that.
The AG does not take orders from the President on who to prosecute.
Really? Really? Then why Merrick Garland just decide to appoint someone? Why did they not go through the normal confirmation process with Jack Smith? So much so that the case in Florida got tossed out because he didn't have jurisdiction to actually bring
The
the
case in Florida got tossed out because Thomas wrote some incredibly stupid thing about how Jack Smith wasn't legally appointed or whatever. That was the only special prosecutor who wasn't legally appointed. But the reality is
Why wasn't he
would
legally
even,
appointed?
Why would he even need that special prosecutor when Merrick Garland himself could just go after Donald Trump? And also, this is all a pivot. You just say you can't give an example of somebody going after a political opponent like Donald Trump has.
No, what I'm saying is that if you're going after people with your IRS, you're certainly going after them with your DOJ.
So no, you can't. Can you name any executive orders besides the ones written by Trump that have targeted particular people?
Okay, so I'll explain to you the law, and I say, can you refute the law? And then when you try refuting, I'll say, so no, you can't. You see, that's not. You're trying to win an argument rather than make a point.
I'm making the point I'm making is that
trying
not
to
a
make-
single,
we're
there are
trying to,
no
like-
presidents in U.S. history that have given direct instructions to their attorney generals to go after political opponents, even naming out the unqualified prosecutor that they want to use, the unappointed, unconfirmed one, the unconfirmed prosecutor to use to go
You think
after them.
Alyssa Slotkin? You think Mark
see this
Kelly is
pivot?
a political?
Do you see this pivot?
No, I mean,
Do you see this
I'm
pivot?
asking a question. What you just said. I'm not pivoting. I'm asking a question. What you just said. What you just said.
Donald Trump's Truth
sounds
Social,
ridiculous.
where he says that Pam Bondi needs to go after 3 people. He names
Yeah.
what was
They're
it? It
his
was-
political opponents.
Yes.
They're a threat to him. Are they a threat
yes.
to him?
No, they made him mad
How so?
because he's a narcissist.
No. So I'm saying, so they're not his political opponents. They're just people who made him mad.
Yes, those are politically. They're his political opponents. Yes.
Why? No. What makes them a political opponent? Political opponent is someone who you're actually, competing with in politics. Is
Oh,
that
so
not,
the
is that not
president
the
has
case?
no political opponents because he's the president of the United States and no one else is running for his
No, what
office
I'm
anymore?
saying-
Stop. What a stupid argument that you're trying to make right now. Donald Trump targeted people on a political basis, not on a prosecutorial, not he thought they broke the law, and you can't give me any examples of anybody else doing anything even remotely similar. You can't. You have none.
We have to. Again, I'm gonna have to. Do I have to have timers in this shit? Right? Do I have to have 1 minute for one side, 1 minute for the other? I hoped we could have like an actual back and forth conversation, but this is.
I
frustrating.
actually don't mind the way he's been trying to cut me off. I do think he actually makes his argument sound weaker when he's trying to desperately say, you're saying nothing, you're stupid, you're saying nothing, you're stupid, rather than actually trying to make a point back.
I did make a point. You can't give examples. You were pointing this IRS thing that led to no criminal charges. Even Donald Trump's own DOJ didn't pursue anything more after that.
I also pointed to Biden's DOJ trying to prosecute him.
Because he
I
broke
can
the
point-
law.
under
Just
the
somebody,
orders of-
somebody trying to.
back to the topic.
No, somebody
We
trying to
don't- we are-
prosecute you.
we are
Somebody
off
is not. No, this is on topic. Trust me. Somebody trying to prosecute you doesn't mean that you're being politically hunted. It's because he broke the law flagrantly and openly.
Broke the law flagrantly and openly.
Yes.
So much so that the ones you actually got convictions on, no one can even understand what law he broke.
I'm not talking.
So
I'm talking
much-
about the
so
Mar-a-Lago
much
cases.
so-
I'm talking about the Mar-a-Lago cases. And guess what?
Mar-
There were
so
more
much so-
convictions in that
so
than there were in
then
any
you tell me,
IRS bullshit
Destiny,
you're bringing
you tell
up,
me,
right?
You tell me, Destiny, if it's so obvious, if everything there was so crystal clear, why did they not bother going through the normal confirmation process with Jackson?
This is completely irrelevant to the question. The fact
No,
that they
no,
even
it's
use a
very
special
relevant.
counsel. No, the fact that they even
very
use a
relevant.
special counsel shows that Biden is not directly ordering his attorney general.
But he wasn't an actual special counsel. That's my point. He was just an extension of Garland, who's an extension of Biden. They
Okay.
pretended
So
it
did
was.
Biden? Did
but they-
Biden order
but if
this?
they
Did
actually
Biden
were
order this?
using
Did
one-
Biden order this?
I have no idea if Biden. I don't
So
know.
then we're not
I
not
don't
on
know.
topic. We're not
It's
even
a
talking
bunch.
about this.
it's not an
So maybe
example of
Merrick
doing the same
Garland is
thing
the
as
deep
Trump?
state secret agent.
No, what I'm saying is I don't think Biden himself did it, but I definitely think people who work for him in the Oval Office, who are the ones who are controlling his automatic pen.
Yeah.
I think those people are the ones who are controlling Merrick Garland and Jack Smith.
What is the
100%.
evidence we have right now so far of the auto pen? Just curious. Not the one that
what do you
Trump
mean?
got caught using, but the one that Biden was supposedly using. What's the evidence we have
See,
so far
now,
for that?
now you're going. My point is, you're asking me if Biden did it. I'm saying
You
the
just made
Oval Office
another
did. I
bullshit
don't
claim.
know.
Oh, who told Merrick Garland then? Since you seem to know this, just tell us. You have nothing. Everything you say is a lie. How many
can
people
maybe
were
send it. Wait,
convicted?
can I
You
get
said
in
that Donald Trump's 34 felonies convictions were bullshit. How many people were convicted over the Obama tax fraud stuff? How many people got convicted from that? Keeping in mind that Donald Trump was the next. The answer is zero. So this isn't even remotely equivalent because that whole case was bullshit. Everybody knew it.
So now you're living in the naive world where you think that if you can, that because no one prosecuted folks from the Obama administration, that means everything there was 100% above board.
It
That's
was
what you think it
investigated, and there were no charges recommended. And
Okay.
Donald
There was
Trump
no-
was the next president, and he
no
didn't.
charges-
He investigated, and he didn't recommend.
No
his DOJ didn't
charges.
find anything.
No charges brought against Hillary for when
Hillary didn't break the
everything
law.
that she did.
Hillary didn't break any laws.
I don't even think you believe that.
I know that.
8 years ago.
I'm pretty sure that's.
I don't
wait,
think you
what law?
thought-
What law do you
I'm
think
pretty
she
sure
broke?
you didn't hold that position 8 years ago.
What law did she break? What did she break? What was the proof that she was intentionally retaining classified material, like Donald Trump was at Mar-a-Lago? You at least acknowledge that Donald Trump was intentionally retaining classified material at Mar-a-Lago. He knew it was there, and he knew it wasn't supposed to be there, and he hid it from investigators when they came to find it.
I think he intentionally held documents in Mar-a-Lago.
Okay,
That I
that's good.
agree
And
with.
obstructed
That's
the
the
investigation.
That's the first thing you said. I don't know if he legally obstructed it, but I can hear an argument. I actually thought that of all the cases that they brought against him, the Mar-a-Lago case probably had the most sound legal footing.
Okay, so if he's willing to admit that, it was a
I
slam
still
dunk.
thought-
What did Hillary do that was obviously and clearly against the
I didn't
law?
want to. I mean, we can go. We can go into Hillary, but this is really flying far afield. My point is, the only reason I brought up Hillary was not to devolve into a whole conversation as to her illegal conduct. The point was that no matter how nefarious people are, if you're in Washington and you're a Democrat, you're not going to get prosecuted for it, and you'll never get convicted. There's no way you're going to get convicted.
What happened to
Because
Hunter
you're-
Biden?
you're
What happened to Hunter Biden?
Hunter Biden was a gift, and Hunter
Do you
Biden was
see
a
the
gift.
pivot? Do you do this now? I'm just curious, like person to person. Is this an ordinary mental process for you? Do you have to think about how hard you pivot from everything?
Was
You
he
just
convicted?
said you said no
Was he
Democrat got convicted, and I just
was
gave
Hunter
you a
Biden
guy.
convicted?
Yes,
was
of
Hunter
two-
Biden
yes, of
convicted?
two different crimes,
No, he was pleading.
which just counts as a conviction.
No, but you can't get a jury to do it.
What are you
You
talking?
can't get a jury to do it.
Then
You
why?
can't
Wait,
get
if,
12
if he couldn't,
just
wait,
for my
wait,
edification,
if he couldn't get a jury to do it, then
just for
why
my
did he take a
edification,
plea
what's the
deal?
difference
Wait, if
between
he
a
knew he
plea
was going to beat
deal-
every jury, then why did he take the plea deal?
Because the
What
entire
is the difference
the enti-
legally between a conviction by plea deal and a conviction by jury?
Well,
What-
he's trying to
Well,
make
you
the
can actually
argument that the
convince-
jury wouldn't convict because everybody's so biased and he can't get a fair trial anywhere because all the Democrats love everybody in
No,
DC.
not anywhere.
Then why?
Not anywhere
Then why?
in DC.
So then why did he take a plea deal if he knew he would always beat the jury because they love Democrats so much?
Because the entire point of the Hunter Biden prosecution was to try and give cover that there was some legitimacy to the Trump prosecutions. That's why. That's the only reason they did it in the
So
first place.
Comey
And they also knew,
Jim
and they
Jordan
also
were all
knew,
on board with the Democratic Party here. What evidence do you have of
What does
this?
that mean? No, what I'm saying.
Wait, no, do you have
but
any
they
evidence of
didn't go
this?
at 100. What do you mean? Do I have any evidence
A
of this?
single
they didn't bring
shred
the
of
most serious
evidence.
charges.
Why
They didn't bring the most
Why
serious
not?
charges.
Why
even.
not? Why not?
Because it wasn't a real prosecution.
Yes, because it was Republican. It was a
joke- it was
bullshit
a sham
Republican talking point.
prosecution.
Yeah, I agree. Started by who started that? Who started the whole sham prosecution into Hunter Biden? It was Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani. Why do you think he was
It
impeached?
should have been a real prosecution.
It wasn't though because
And even-
the confidential
it should
informant
have
that
been.
started off that whole
It
prosecution
should have been
lied
a-
about everything. Donald Trump and
should
Giuliani
have
literally
been a real
made phone calls
prosecution.
to Zelensky begging him to announce this sham prosecution. That's why it went nowhere. It was bullshit from the very start.
Okay.
Are we actually
Soy
going back
Pills-
to
Oh, just real quick,
2018?
Soy Pill's been wanting in.
Sorry, go ahead.
I want to make
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, if you want to
Yes.
recenter
Pill,
the
come on,
debate a little
Soy
bit, the
Pill.
whole reason we're talking about all this Trump bullshit is because we're talking about how he has fostered the environment for inflamed rhetoric and violence and all this other stuff. And it seems like you're willing to get on your knees and defend literally anything that he did. So can you, other than not being fascist enough, is there a single thing you think Trump has done to contribute to the inflammatory, violent nature and rhetoric of what's going on right now?
I definitely think of things that he's done wrong during this administration. But as far as him
Specifically
inflaming
in regards
it,
to the rhetoric.
I mean, I'd certainly, I would think that some of the things he says definitely gets people angry. So if to that extent, I would think that
Okay, so that sounds like the charitable. Well, you're triggered. I'm saying, does he do something wrong that is contributing to the violent nature and the tensions in this country? Because that's like the first axiom of this whole National Guard thing. We're never going to move past it if you can't admit that he's at least done that.
I don't think he sits there trying. Well, let me think that through.
Okay, so like after Charlie,
I want to think through. I want before.
let him think,
I want to actually.
Well, I'm giving him an
think
example.
about your
I'm bailing
question.
him out right now. So
No, I don't
when
need you.
Charlie
I need you to bail me
blasted-
out.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
just let him.
The
give
last
him
thing I need is for you to bail
space.
me out. Yeah, I think that some of the things he says is designed to troll. So I think that a fair claim can be made that definitely amps
I
up
don't
the
know
rhetoric.
why every single like horrible thing Trump does, you have to lube up so it'll fit into your mouth. So what I'm saying is, when Charlie Kirk got blasted,
See,
and he
if
said,
you were
"No,
less
let me
filthy,
finish."
if you were
No,
less
no,
filthy, I'd have more
If you were less
respect
of
for
a
you.
total Trump dick suck, maybe we could have a real conversation.
If
So,
you were
hold
less
on, let me
filthy, I
finish.
would have more respect for you.
Hold on.
I can have a real
I have
conversation
zero
with
respect
you.
for you, so I'm not going to be less filthy.
No,
So here,
no,
can we talk, please? Okay.
No,
so,
you see,
hey,
see,
Wick,
that's
can I
the
talk?
thing.
Because I've been
No,
listening
no,
to this
no,
guy blabber.
no, you see, I'm not gonna. Okay, so you can sit there
Hold
pretending
on,
that you're
just
going
stop.
somewhere here.
Stop. Everyone stop. Everyone stop. Good logic. Finish, and then Soy Pill can finish.
I didn't
No,
finish. He interrupted me.
No, I'm simply saying is that I might have no respect for you, but I'm still going to at least fake it
Why?
because I was bred by two
I
parents.
don't care about your personal life.
I was
Just keep it in the
bred by
bedroom.
two parents who actually taught me how to engage in discourse. You're not winning an argument if you're just calling me some dick sucker or whatever stupid
That is
childish
the
word you want to throw at
preamble
me.
to the point I'm making. It is clear you're a dick suck. I want to make an actual logical statement afterwards. Okay.
That's not actually making a point.
Yeah. Well,
You're not making
because
a point.
you interrupted me before I got to the logical part.
Well, you would get there a lot faster if you wouldn't waste everyone's
wouldn't
time by
interrupt me.
trying
Yeah,
to show
sure.
that
Can I
you're
go
such
now?
a man that you can use words that are used by fifth graders.
Do you look at me and tell me that I'm trying to appear as such a man? Tell me that, please.
Touche. Touche.
Can I will agree with good logic here. Hold on. Sorry, Paul, can you please stop trying to act like Donald Trump does on social media every single day? That good logic thinks is epic and hilarious. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, yeah. So when Donald Trump said after the Kirk shooting, and we didn't know anything at all about the shooter, and said, this is the left, they're coming for you, they're violent, we're going to stop them, we're going to root out this evil in our country, he called Democrats pests. This was not, he trolled. This was not, he said things that made people mad. This was him inflaming the rhetoric. Would you agree with that?
I think he was speaking out of fury.
Wait, speaking of to inflame the rhetoric. That's what.
No, it's not. I don't. You're saying that his objective is to inflame the.
No, he never said that. You can inflame the rhetoric without
You're saying that's
it being
why.
intentional.
And I'm saying I don't think that's.
What
I
is
don't
the
think it's his
standard?
objective.
Hold on.
I'm not saying it's okay. I didn't say it's okay.
No one
I didn't
said
say
it was
it's
okay. We asked if it was inflaming the rhetoric. You don't have to intend to inflame the rhetoric to inflame the rhetoric.
Well, you said the reason he did it was to inflame the rhetoric.
No, I think he just asked if it did inflame the rhetoric.
Well, we can go back to the tape if you want.
Well, ask that question. Soy Pill, do you think... Sorry, let's pretend he said that. Did it inflame the rhetoric?
Possibly.
Oh, my God.
Wait, possibly like I can only know if I see the secret documents that the previous presidents are hiding and will never reveal, or possibly like, yeah, probably, but I haven't looked at the polling afterwards or how the entire right reacted to his statements.
Oh, no, possibly in the sense that I don't think it's something that's really calculable.
Then nothing is calculable, right?
Well, can I ask?
You're saying
can I
what?
just ask?
In what way is it inflamed? What was it at? What is it measured? Like,
As in, if
in
you're
what
a follower,
measurable way is it
as in, if
inflamed?
you're a follower of Donald Trump, you feel like you have invulnerability from the laws because you know that Donald Trump will pardon you if you commit crimes on his behalf or if you commit violence on his behalf, because he said that when the right commits violence, it's righteous, and when the left commits violence, it's just them being unhinged.
You're saying it inflamed the rhetoric. How did that manifest into any damage? Tell me who was harmed because of what he said. Tell me one person who was harmed since Charlie Kirk by the left. That you're saying that he's making such a dangerous circumstance. So you tell me the person on the left who's been victimized because of that tweet or the entire
The whole
aggregate of
country has
tweets.
been victimized. What do you mean?
Tell me one person who actually went out there and did anything violent because of something Trump ever said.
Any of the left
me
doing
one person.
violent stuff
You can't
against
give me one
any conservative.
example.
The
You cannot give me one
left-leaning
example.
people committing violence can be attributed to some extent to what the right-leaning president says. You don't think you can inflame violence against people on the other side?
So when he says that the left is deliriously deranged and dangerous, That now is inflaming the left and justifies them actually manifesting that by going out and killing people.
Did Biden never say
That's
anything
what
like
your
that?
point is.
I didn't say justify. Why did you add that word? Where did justifies come from? Is the other person in the call again that I can't hear?
I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
When did I ever say it justified the left being violent? Hold on. I just want, just to be clear, let crystal clear so the court reporter can hear, get it on the record. You don't think that the president of the United States can say things that would incite the other side to violence? You don't think the president of the United States can do that? He doesn't have that power? When he speaks, only his own side hears him?
Your point is that he's
Why can't he
amping up
ever
the
answer
rhetoric.
a question? Holy shit.
I don't understand
you
your
just can't answer a
point.
question. It's a simple
Okay, maybe I
question.
can
No,
translate.
wait,
Maybe I
I'm
can
sorry. Hold on, let me
translate. Hold on,
rephrase. Can a guy say mean thing that even the guy's enemies think is a really mean thing and makes them do bad things? Is that possible?
And you think it's more likely they listen to him than to the
I don't even understand what's happening. It's got to be intentional. It has to be
Okay,
intentional.
I gotta translate
Okay.
because I think
No,
we're missing
don't translate what I'm saying. I'm gonna start screaming racial slurs. He knows exactly what I'm saying. It's a game. This is a game.
That's a perfect
Oh,
example.
no.
Here,
Racial
Let me
slurs.
go.
Oh,
All right.
no.
All right, flawed logic. Get this. All right, if you're it's a white guy and a black guy, and they're having an argument, and the white guy busts out the N-word, do you think that's turning up the rhetoric? Because it might make the other guy more angry. So the white guy's not getting more angry, but he has turned up the rhetoric, right, by introducing this horrible slur. Is that possible that you can inflame the other side?
That's theoretically possible. I think it's a childish perspective to believe that's actually what happens.
You don't think that's ever
I think
happened?
that's childish. I think that's a very, very childish perspective.
Then what?
That you're
Then what's the
saying
number?
that-
What's the
I
left
think
turning up the
you have to
rhetoric
be an
then?
idiot to actually think. I think you have to be an idiot to actually think that that's what happened. And I was giving you the benefit of the doubt that you were not quite that stupid. That you think that after all the hate that they've been ratcheting up against President Trump and the right, actually before Trump even came along, that they've been ratcheting up since 2008, that they've been ratcheting up against the right, saying that they're Nazis, they're fascists, and they're misogynists, and they're transphobies.
Wait,
and
wait.
homophobes, and the
Did
most
the
evil
right-
people
was
ever.
the right
You
not-
think? No. I'm not doing my point.
Oh my
Just
God.
stop
The
trying to
fake
interrupt
virtue
me.
signaling.
No,
So
you're trying to
cringe. It's
interrupt
cringe
me.
when
No,
wokies
stop
do it, and it's
Here we
cringe when
go. You see,
conservatives
you're
do
doing
it.
it right now. You're doing it right
Yeah,
now.
go ahead.
You're still doing it right now. You think that after decades of the left basically screaming about how evil everyone on the right is on, that you think that when he sends out a tweet saying how deranged and seriously dangerous the left
was an
is,
address, actually. It wasn't a tweet.
that is what makes them now act deranged and delirious. How stupid do you have to be to think that his words are what's influencing him in any measurable way at all? Could it theoretically, so to answer your ridiculously stupid childish question, could it theoretically have an impact? Yes. Would any reasonable person think that, yes, now that's why they're violent? All of a sudden, now they're violent? You have to be a moron beyond belief to actually think that's true.
Okay, let's say that.
What
Let's
would
say that
the
everything you just said
president
was
have to say to turn up the rhetoric in your mind?
Or I'm curious. What do you think Obama? Wait. Do you acknowledge that Republicans have been calling everybody on the left commies and socialists for decades? All throughout Obama's term, he was called a communist and a socialist. Do you acknowledge that?
Yes.
Okay. Who were like the number one enemies of America for the prior 70 years when they were calling Obama a communist?
No, when they were calling him a communist, communism was not that big a threat at that point. At that point, Islam was a much bigger threat.
Do you think Nazis are a big threat?
Okay, yeah, then cool. Then what was a more recent threat? Communists or fascists in the world?
Well, I think that when you're calling someone the most
Ooh,
evil
he
person
realized
ever,
he just walked himself in the dumbest
wait
trap
a
in the
minute.
universe.
No.
Hitler's been dead for
Oh,
80
shit.
years. I mean, he's not that big of a deal.
Oh no, that's so awkward. I feel so awkward for you, bro. You just posted cringe.
I'm done.
Good logic. You respond, please.
Yeah, there's a very big difference. No, the public does not recognize communism for the danger that it is. They don't recognize socialism for the danger it is. You don't take offense at being called a socialist. You embrace it.
Which political party did we ban? Was it the USA Communist Party?
I would take offense at being called a socialist or
What
communist.
Do
did it call? Was it the Brown
You
scare
embrace,
that we
you
had?
embrace that term. Do you not embrace the term socialist?
Me? No. No, and it doesn't matter if you embrace it or not. Black people call themselves the
Okay.
N-word. I can't go around and call them the N-word and say, well, you guys embrace it, don't you? What a stupid
No,
point.
but what I'm saying is so it's not a slur if I call you something that you happily admit you are.
It
as
absolutely
opposed to
is. If you
calling
called me a
someone
faggot,
Nazi,
I wouldn't
as
assume that
opposed to
you're
calling
saying it
someone-
as a term of endearment. What are you
Hey,
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
Hey.
No, what do you, hold on. What do you mean? Just because somebody says something about themselves like this doesn't mean that it all of a sudden doesn't become a slur on the other side says it. Also, in the era of Obama, we just spent the whole 60 whatever years in the whole Cold War. How are you trying to pretend like communism wasn't the number one threat to the United States? What was the Cuban Missile Crisis about? You don't think every single American...
I'll quote Obama himself. I'll answer you by quoting Obama himself. The 1980s are calling their foreign policy, they want their foreign policy back. No one was worried about socialism and communism in 2012.
Then why were they calling him a communist as an insult?
Because it wasn't as an insult. They were saying he's a threat. They weren't
threat.
saying that he's an
Oh,
insult.
so it was
They're
a
saying he's a danger
description.
to capitalism.
And what do you do?
Yes,
What do you do to
100%,
communist dangers of capitalism? What did we just spend the past 60 years doing? The dangers of capitalism.
Why do you think we call people fascist or Nazi? Do you think it's because we're insulting them?
No, I think it is considered, but it's considered an insult because if you're embracing socialism and I call you a socialist, I might mean it as an offense. I might
When
look
you
at
say
it as
Donald
a terrible
Trump
thing.
should be more fascist. Do you think that's embracing fascism a little bit?
No, I'm saying I don't think. By the way, what I'm saying is, if he were more fascist, we would be in a less dangerous situation.
True, because all the enemies would be dead by now. True.
I don't want him to be a fascist. What I'm saying is the reason he's having these problems is because he's bending over backwards to try and work within the binds of the Constitution.
You can't
His
really
vice
believe
president
this.
Literally ran on, let's try to ignore all of the judges. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? When did he say
J.D. Vance
that?
saying, let's ignore all the judges when he was running for president?
He did the Andrew Jackson meme quote.
I'm not sure what.
The,
you're saying no?
The Supreme Court has made its ruling. Now let's
Now
see
let
them
them
try to
enforce it,
enforce it.
yeah.
Or is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, he
You're
was
referring
saying.
to where he said, like, let's ignore the courts because the courts are saying things that go against us and our agenda when he was running for president. I'm sorry,
Okay,
was this
JD
not like a thing that you
Vance-
paid attention to? I'm assuming you voted for Trump. I would probably
JD
hope that
Vance,
you would-
I think you're an idiot if you think Vance ran for president.
Oh,
I don't even know what you're trying to say. I don't know what you're trying to say.
He was just the vice president, bro.
J-
Can we go back to Hunter
with
Biden
JD
now?
Vance.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
JD
When did
Vance
Vance
ran on an agenda of let's ignore judge rulings so that we can get our agenda done? Do you know this, or are you completely
That's made
ignorant
up.
of it?
That's
Do
completely.
you want me
made
to? I'll send you the quote.
up. That's okay. All right,
Okay,
good.
okay.
We'll
That's
have fun.
okay.
I want to.
No, I mean, I know you don't
want
like
to
to do
try for
research
the
on the
third
people you
time
vote
and maybe
for,
the
so.
final time, right? The third time, the final time to please bring us back on topic. Good logic. So if Trump is not to blame here, right, and you feel that, as I understand, he has no culpability in this, I guess I'll ask this. Do you think that the Democrats have any, or Democrat politicians or any specifics, have any culpability in what happened to the National Guard in D.C.? Why or why
go.
not? Go ahead.
I think that bringing people in here without vetting them, I think that's a serious problem. You're creating a dangerous situation, and we've seen the repercussions in countless dead people for that would not be here, but for the fact that we decided we're not going to be worried about who's coming in here because we're going to try and bring in here as many people as we can. And I think that was part of the Democratic agenda. I think that's one of the things that Trump is trying to rectify. So yeah, I think the fact that there's a continue with respect to this particular shooting, because we don't know the motives of the shooter yet. So I think it would be inappropriate for me to tell you the reason he shot was because of policy A, B, C, or D. I know people are saying that he was screaming Allahu Akbar. I don't know what his motivations were. I don't think anyone here knows what his motivations were. But I would say that the continual rhetoric where you're saying that the other side is full of fascists, Nazis, and racists, that is not people you negotiate with. You don't negotiate with fascists and racists. I wouldn't negotiate with a fascist or racist.
Didn't Trump
I
call
hate
Democrats
racists.
fascist? Didn't he call Kamala Harris a fascist?
It's very possible. I don't know when.
It's not possible. It's 100% true.
He did. He
I
said
can show
that.
you.
Yes.
Okay.
I also linked you to the JD Vance
Okay.
quote if you want to read it and educate yourself, because you apparently didn't keep up to date with the people you're voting for. But
I keep up to date with people I voted for. I voted for Donald Trump.
yeah, did you know that?
Well,
there's,
and
like,
JD
this
Vance,
big
you voted for
second name
both.
on all
It's
the
a
posters?
two-person ticket.
Like, you know,
What I'm
it's
saying
like,
is, no, do I actually, yeah, but for one reason or another, when I vote, I don't actually look at every single interview that both candidates
sure,
have
but
with
I
every
might look
party
at
all
like the
the
very
time.
important things about how they're going to conduct themselves as president. Like, hey, ignore the courts. That's a pretty big
Yeah.
one for me.
Well, and what we saw is that they haven't.
Well,
Time and
they
again,
want-
they haven't.
Yeah,
They
they're doing everything
want
they
to.
can to get
Yeah,
away
of course
with it.
they want to. You want to see him. You want to see him dead, but you're not going to kill him.
No, I super don't actually.
You don't want to see. You don't want to see Trump die.
No, I want to see him rot in a jail cell until he dies of old age. But I hope it happens
Okay.
peacefully and patriotically.
Well, you're unlike most of your kin.
Okay.
I'm just saying, assuming that's true, you're unlike most of your kin. My point is, you're sitting here trying to say that some sort of gotcha on me, that I don't know he purportedly said something about ignoring judges. What I'm saying is what we've
It's
seen.
not gotcha. It's like a big hole in your entire like structure of, hey, I voted for this guy who's very explicitly doing his best to do illegal things and doing everything he can to ignore the court.
No, he's not
And then,
doing illegal
out of
things.
the other side of your mouth saying, actually, he's doing everything he can to follow the law, which is just blatantly
He
not
has
true.
been. He has 100% been doing that because he could have just said, F you, I'm doing what I want. And he hasn't. Whenever
That's
there's an
basically what
order,
he's done, to be clear, right? Everybody knows that. It's
Well,
basically
whenever
what he's
there's
done.
been an order, I'll tell you this much: does he try to find loopholes in what they say? 100%, he has. He has. But that's that's a very significant difference. The very significant difference is that's the difference between following the Constitution and fascism. So despite the fact that you guys keep calling him a fascist, he has not been a fascist. If he had been a fascist, his life probably would have been a lot simpler. I'm glad he's not given into that temptation. A lesser man would have.
He gives in
he
every
hasn't.
single day. The funny thing is, it would take a greater man to even be fascist because he's too childlike in his narcissism to even fathom a political ideology. That's why he becomes a cum
I do
vessel
think
for
he's-
every person around him, like Stephen Miller or J.D. Vance or all these other people that are fighting for
Does
control
this
of the
really
White
work
House.
for you? The whole cum dick sucker.
Does it
thing?
really
that
work for you to
enhance
pretend
it
not
for
to
you?
know any event ever that goes contrary to your narrative? That when calling people a fascist is
I
the
know
most
every
important thing in the
event.
world, you don't know a single time that Trump has said it, even though it's been headline news every time
No,
he's done it, but you pretend not to know a single thing about any of it? Is it really crazy that you seem to know every single court order and you want to go and dig into why a special prosecutor may or may
said
not
I
have been
don't know
legally
every
assigned,
court
but you don't know anything about the D.C. court saying that, oh, actually the deployment of the National Guard here was actually against the law? Like, I mean, the selective knowledge is epic. Like, keep it up. Seems to work for you.
I do have a question for Destiny.
The issue, the issue with that you just raised, that on November 20th, that there was an order at the district court. My point is that's an order that's a district court, which did not come out, did not exist at the time that they made the video, and is almost certainly going to be overturned at the next level. So, do you understand how dangerous it is? Do you understand? I'm asking you a question now. Do you understand just how dangerous it is to have members of Congress go out there and start advocating just blanketly that if there's an unconstitutional order that you need to that he's issuing orders, and you do agree that they say over and over again. Let's start with this premise. Do you agree that they've said over and over again that there have been unconstitutional orders that Trump and this administration have issued? Do both of you agree with that premise?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so if they've been saying that over and over again, now let's try to figure out how this will practically apply to any member of our military if they actually take to heart the message that those seditious six were throwing out there. So what
I don't
they're
know who the
actually
seditious six are. Also, Donald Trump literally pardoned 12 people convicted of
Slotkin.
seditious conspiracy. I don't know what seditious six. Nobody's been convicted of anything. You acknowledge
The
the only
seditious
time
six
you acknowledge
is a reference.
Donald Trump pardoned.
Seditious six is a reference.
It's a
You know what it
it's a histrionic delusion in your mind. Donald Trump pardoned people convicted of seditious conspiracy, where the seditious conspiracy was to help him, right?
Just real quick, Destiny, you gotta let him ask his question. You've asked plenty.
No,
of questions.
he can't load it. If I'm allowed to load, if I can say 10 racial slurs
You
while
loaded
asking a
your
question,
questions too,
no, I
it's
don't. We
okay.
can go back and forth all he wants.
You always do. You always do.
Because I'm
Dictator
responding to the 50
Donald.
million
Good
things.
logic.
I try to ask a
Just real
simple
quick.
yes or no question. He runs off on 50 million. He's out of my jurisdiction to answer these questions. I don't know what Delulu land he's in when he's talking half the time.
Look, how he answers it is his problem, and you can hold him to account if he fails to answer your question. That's fine.
our
But he's
problem
going to
'cause
ask
you gotta
you a
look into it,
question,
and he's not
and we do
responding.
got to give him.
Okay.
He has been gracious to us to come on tonight and to stay, and we appreciate that. And we're
That's
going to let him
pretty
ask
low
you
bar,
a
boy.
question now. Go ahead. Good logic. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, the point that I'm making is what practical impact could this have? You recognize, you've admitted that the seditious six, which I'm using that as a reference to the six people who made that 90-second commercial. The six members of Congress made that commercial. I didn't coin that term. Pete Hegseth used that term. Several people have used that term. I think it's a rather apt term, and they obviously are not convicted of committing sedition, but it's just a way of referencing those six members of Congress. So
Here,
now,
can we use your standard then for
No,
like
he
Trump's rhetoric
hasn't
post-vote?
asked his question yet. You got to let him ask his goddamn question.
His question was,
Good
could
luck.
it lead to something bad? And I'm going to use his standard for Trump's thing post.
No,
Can you
not
point to a
That's not his
single violent
question.
action or insubordination that has
Hey,
happened?
but
because
you're
of the
answering a
seditious
question
video?
you think he's going to ask, but he hasn't yet asked it. Let him ask it so
Okay,
that
go ahead.
even if you can mind read it, the audience might not have your abilities to mind read. So let him ask the question. The audience can hear the question, and then they can hear your response. Great, good. Go ahead. Good logic.
So now, assuming you're a supporter of Alyssa Slotkin, you voted for her, or you voted for one of these other members of the Seditious Six, and you think that they're a very important and significant voice in Congress. So you take what they say to heart, and you're a member of the military. What do you think your reaction is now every time you get an order that is borderline okay, not okay? It's questionable. Maybe it's constitutional, maybe it's not. Do you think that there's going to be
maybe I should hesitate. I've seen this person do potentially illegal things, and I'm going to be extra vigilant about it. But just with your criteria for the Trump inflaming the rhetoric post Charlie Kirk assassination, I'm going to ask you: can you point to a single?
I'm not done.
Can you point to a single violent thing that has happened because of the Seditious Six video, or anyone who's disobeyed an order in a way that has caused people to get hurt?
No, it's only happened. They only did this 2 weeks ago.
Okay, well then I will just say probably this could happen, but it didn't. So.
Oh, okay. No, but since they're setting up a situation that probably could happen, that's sedition. Because what you're looking at in the practical terms here is that there very likely can be orders that some people will think is unconstitutional. Some people will think is not unconstitutional. Even judges may disagree. At the district court level, might be called unconstitutional. Circuit court level, it'll be overturned and said totally fine. But those orders have to be carried out in the moment by an individual with a limited time frame and very limited knowledge of the law. So instead of them being able to focus on it, now this Slotkin supporter, this Mark Kelly supporter, who's in the military and is holding the yaw of some fighter plane and has to decide what they're going to do, now has that going through their head. That makes for a much more dangerous situation for an action that a court later on, very likely, very, very plausibly, will actually say was constitutional. So now what these seditious six have done is they've made a very dangerous, hostile situation way more dangerous.
You understand?
You
understand that it might be a good chilling effect that people in the military might ignore orders from a fascist president, right? I'm only using fascist president because that's the nickname a lot of people have given him, right? But you understand that might be a good chill. Not all chilling effects are bad, right? It might be that we do want our military soldiers. Maybe that's why it's even in the military code of conduct. Maybe that's why when you were at Abu Ghraib, you couldn't just say, a military commander told me to do this, and you could still be held accountable. Maybe it's good that our U.S. soldiers are thinking about these things. No?
No.
You're so...
It could never happen?
There could be theoretically.
He said no. Here's my question. So my next question. Next question. Wait, Donald Trump. I just wanted to just be clear. Then you can say even more if you want. Donald Trump pardoned some of the only people ever convicted in U.S. history of seditious conspiracy that were trying to help him overturn an election, right? You acknowledge that Donald Trump literally pardoned all of those people, right?
Were those actually charges? Seditious conspiracy?
They were convictions. Yes, on seditious conspiracy.
Convictions of it was seditious. Which people were convicted?
The 12. You don't even. No, holy shit! What do you even do? What do you read? What is your Twitter feed? Is it Elon Musk just whatever random right-wing conservative news down your throat every morning?
I know Enrico Tara got very serious charges. I just wasn't sure it was seditious conspiracy.
It was.
Okay. Right. So you acknowledge Donald Trump pardoned all of them of seditious conspiracy. It was the only time people it might have been.
Why is that a problem?
I don't know. I'm just curious. Do you say sedition is really bad? You think sedition is like one of the worst things that could ever possibly happen? And Donald Trump has now demonstrated that if you commit a seditious conspiracy, but it's to help him, to help Donald Trump maintain power, that he'll reward you for it. He'll pardon you for those charges ultimately.
No, that's a reward. That's not a reward. It's simply he said, I'm not going to let you face punishment.
Not being in jail for 20 years is not a reward.
No, what I'm saying is I think that he looked at all those prosecutions as if they were persecutions.
Okay, so how does that change what I said? So maybe you could commit sedition as long as it was for Trump, because he'll think it's always been a persecution, and either Trump or the Republicans will bail you out.
Oh, I don't think they committed sedition. That's what I was talking about.
Quite frank, I'm sorry. Yeah, you don't even know the charges. I know you're not familiar with the indictments. You have no idea what any of these guys even did, clearly. And it doesn't, to be frank, it doesn't, I'm sorry, but it doesn't really matter what you think, because a jury of peers disagreed with you and they were convicted. So it doesn't really matter, okay? So how could people think, if they were pardoned of seditious conspiracy, wouldn't that be like the number one green light to commit sedition? If you know the president of the United States is going to bail you out if you do it and somebody tries to hold you accountable for it, more than 6 random Congress people saying something about don't ignore unlawful orders?
Your question is that by him pardoning someone for sedition, that the impact of that is that people will engage in sedition, confident that even if they get convicted, Trump will pardon them.
Yes.
Is that, and where lay out how this would actually unfold?
Well, maybe somebody might try to. Maybe somebody I can lay it out full. Maybe somebody like Tina Peters might try to help rig an election and think that she's doing the right thing the whole time. Maybe somebody like Mike Lindell might do things to try to help people win an election in defamatory ways. Maybe Fox News or people at that news network might try to help him win an election in defamatory ways that would help them be civilly liable, because they see that as long as Trump wins, he'll forgive them of everything. Like Ashley Babbitt her family was awarded some multi-million-dollar payout, even though she clearly was breaking the law and clearly got shot for justifiable reasons. Or maybe he'll pardon everybody or give you some other kind of payout. Somebody else was just given a big payout from the federal government who was involved with, I would argue, seditious stuff. Like, how do you not see this as being a direct, when you literally have a lot of the J6ers that were convicted literally said they were there because they thought Donald Trump would save them. Like, this has actually happened. It's not a hypothetical. It's actually happened.
The point to that last part was, But so I'm not sure even why you're asking this question, other than to say that there could be a ramification from him issuing a pardon, that now because he issued a pardon, other people will commit sedition in the future to try and help him. Is that the point you're trying to get to?
It's the most toothless way of reforming my point, and you've removed so much from it that, yeah, you're about to say something really stupid like, oh, should all pardons be made illegal now?
You're so bad at guessing what I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's usually dumber than even I can fathom. Go ahead.
Let him speak. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
thought you were good at this.
I thought you were a lawyer.
Is it possible that it can have that impact? Sure,
that wasn't my question.
possible.
It's already had that impact. People have already committed crimes with the expectation that Trump would be there to save them, and he did.
That's pretty wild.
That they said that?
So you're saying, no, that's pretty wild that you're saying in 2020, when he's the outgoing president, that they're going out there and that they're going to engage in sedition, which frankly, you named one person, Enrico Tario, who you're saying was convicted of seditious conspiracy. And I'll assume that that's correct, that he actually was. But the thousands of people who were there, they were not charged with seditious conspiracy.
Because they weren't plotting and planning ahead of time like these guys were, like the Oath Keepers were, and like the Proud Boys were.
So what I'm saying is, you're talking about one person here who was found guilty of engaging in seditious conspiracy.
It was dozens. Well, the people that were, I think it was only 12 for the seditious.
You gave me Enrico Tario. Yeah, that's why.
But it was the people. Well, there were at least 4 other Oath Keepers that were convicted. I'm pretty sure in the initial batch there were like 7 or 8 people.
You agree with me though that the 1,000 or so roughly convictions, all the 1,000, the hordes of people that he commuted their sentence. They were not charged with seditious conspiracy, right?
No, it was Enrico Tario, Joseph Briggs, Zachary Real, Ethan Nordine, Stuart Rhodes, Kelly Meggs, and we can keep going, but like it was a bunch of people. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, as far as the people who expected him to save them when they're doing something illegal, was it those dozen people?
It was everybody that marched. Everybody that marched from the Capitol.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, in a few weeks before, he said, "Proud Boys, stand back and stand by." Yeah, those people. We're talking about those people.
Well, but everybody that went to the Capitol expected Trump would bail them out, which he did.
He did or didn't?
He did.
He did. Well,
he pardoned all of them.
He didn't until 2025.
Well, they thought he was going to win the election in 2020. That's what they were there for. Was to help coup the election.
No one thought that. No one thought that.
No one thought what?
Nobody thought that. No one thought that was going to happen.
Why were they protesting on January 6th? Wait. Why were they protesting on the day of January 6th?
They were trying to forestall in order for there to be a count. But you're telling me that they're going there.
Count for what? What would they count have done?
No, that they wanted him to win. But you're telling me that they went in there marching, expecting that they were going to be successful and that he's going to save them?
Correct.
That's pretty stupid. That's so stupid. The reason it's so stupid is because there's 2 possibilities. They're successful, in which case he's president and they're not charged. Or they're unsuccessful, in which case he's not president and they're charged and he's not there to save them. So what I'm saying is, your whole premise here as to what their expectations were is illogical. It doesn't make any sense at all.
It totally makes sense because you're assuming that the only way you could be saved from a prosecution is via a pardon. But the fact that if you were to win as president, they just wouldn't be charged, period, seems to hold a lot of water. They would just not have been charged. Also, the fact that when he was elected president later, he pardoned them regardless.
If that was his objective, and they were banking on that, why didn't he pardon them before they were even charged on January 19th?
He might not have known that he could. Well, at that point, he probably just didn't give a. He didn't give a fuck about any of them. He didn't win his shit. He got grumpy and dumpy, and he packed up all his bullshit to go to Mar-a-Lago, and he left.
So you're saying he didn't care about them, but now you're saying that he did care about them.
I never said he did or didn't care about them. The argument, very clearly, try to keep track of it. The argument is whether or not
it's hard
his actions.
You keep waffling,
it's not.
So
It's super. I'm being crystal clear. Let me do this one more time, and I can downgrade it to second grade language if that's what you need. Okay. If the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump has conducted himself. The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump conducts himself and his policy in a way that encourages people to break the law on his behalf, up to and including things like seditious conspiracy. People did break the law on his behalf, including up to and including seditious conspiracy, and he did pardon those people for doing crimes up to and including seditious conspiracy. And the people that were convicted while they were in court were saying things like, "I was here and did this because Donald Trump told me to be."
And the point that you're getting at here is therefore, because we'll come back to the premise. Therefore, the seditious 6 is what we launch this whole thing. Therefore, they're okay with basically weakening our military.
I don't think they're weakening.
That's your point.
I don't think that our military, keeping in mind that they can't follow unlawful orders from a president who is using the military against his own population, his own citizenry, I think it's totally fine for them to keep that in mind, and I would hope they would. The response that you should have, and the reason why you fascist fucks don't have this response, your response should be, oh, they're telling us to follow the law. LOL, who cares? Trump doesn't issue any unlawful orders. Easy, boom. And then just go on to the next thing. But the reason why you're so worried about it is because you know that he's issued a ton of fucked up commands. You know that murdering those civilians off the coast of Venezuela was fucked up. And you know that using the military against your own citizens is insanely fucked up. And if Obama didn't, you'd already be dead from a heart attack, or your head would have fucking exploded, and you would already be off this planet. There's no way you guys would have survived Obama forcibly deploying the National Guard against his own citizens against the will of the governors.
Okay. I have to
Sorry, I'm done.
use the restroom. Be good for like the.
Oh my God, chaos is gonna ensue.
No, please don't. Please, no slurs. I will be right back. But good logic. I'm gonna give you the mic.
I'll try to dial back the slurs while you're gone. Yeah. What were you saying?
So we were talking about how you're kind of forgiving every single thing Trump does, and if we want to recenter this,
I'm not forgiving everything he does.
Just most of it, or all of it, or lubing it up.
What I'm saying is no, because you have to deal with a practical perspective. Do you not appreciate the fact that if you're sitting in the military, you basically they're trying to talk to the military, telling them what to do. You're agreeing with that. So if they're telling the military what to do, now let's put that into practical effect.
They're repeating what's already law. They're repeating the law. Say that. They're repeating the law.
In the context of he's issuing illegal orders.
They're repeating the law.
Which is saying, no, they're not. They're not simply repeating the law.
They are.
Okay, can we imagine a hypothetical world where you think that President Obama has done something illegal and someone tells someone else that I think he's done something illegal and you don't follow like illegal orders? Is this like a possible good faith thing that someone
They
could
already
do?
did it with the assassination overseas. They just did it earlier.
Oh, okay, yeah. Is that something? Let's take the assassination overseas. Let's assume that was illegal, right? Like if you reminded someone in the military that this was illegal, would that be like sedition?
Why don't we have a productive conversation, a little more productive, by not making it less personal, and we'll just deal with President X, who's the president in 2050. Right. What we want to happen in that President X, and it could be Republican or it could be Democrat. We don't know. What is a healthy way to proceed in this particular scenario?
Pat Buchanan is about to do something extrajudicial, and you and I both believe that. Is it seditious for us to remind people of the military that this is an illegal order?
That's dangerous. I think that's very dangerous.
So we can't criticize
any president
our
does anything annoying, we can't criticize it.
Jesus
that's the standard you're setting right now.
I want you to just think about this for a second. I mean, let's pretend it's President Democrat. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Now, I want you to just pretend for a second that now you have people. Now you have Republican Senator X and Republican Senator Y who are coming out there now and basically saying he's issuing unconstitutional orders. You need to disregard them. Now, these orders may or may not be unconstitutional. It's purely an opinion that's coming from Republican X, Republican Y. So he's now basically trying to co-opt the military from under the control of President Democrats.
Okay. No, I understand you're describing the reality of the situation right now in ways that I don't necessarily agree with. I'm asking you, if the president does do something unconstitutional, or you just think he does, and maybe the court wouldn't find it, can you criticize him?
I think that it can be criticized 100%.
By saying it's unconstitutional.
But there's a difference between criticizing. There's a difference between you going online, or Destiny going online, and criticizing the president. He should do it until he's blue in the face, and I'm sure he does. But there's nothing remotely wrong with that. There's a very different thing from someone who's in Congress talking to the military, addressing the military. That's not remotely the same. Your role is not the same. My role as a podcaster, your roles as podcasters, that's not remotely the same as some congressman who's talking to members of the military. You both recognize that.
Okay, no, hold on. To be clear, not only do I not recognize this legally, you're just dead in the wrong. There's the whole speech and debate clause. If they went on the floor of Congress, they could say the most unhinged shit possible, and you wouldn't be able to convict them of crimes. This is an imaginary standard that you've set up that you would never, ever tolerate if it was directed at your side.
Speech and debate clause only applies when you're addressing Congress on the floor of Congress.
That's why I said when you're on the floor of Congress.
But does not apply when you're making a video directed at the military.
That's why I said why I said when they're on the floor of Congress.
So then it's not relevant. Why are you bringing it up?
Because people go on the floor of Congress and say crazy shit. Hello, welcome to Nancy Mace. When she made all the accusations against her ex-partner, she did it when she was on the floor of Congress. Welcome. That's on TV. You can address other people when you're on the floor of Congress.
Question was not. Do we agree that the adding question was not an address to Congress? Correct?
The what?
It's not addressed to Congress.
The adding question where they went on, they made an ad.
No, it's not. But I'm saying that Congress people enjoy.
Why are you bringing it up?
I'm bringing it up because you're trying to say. I'm bringing it up because you're trying to say that these people have an even greater obligation not to violate their First Amendment rights. And what I'm telling you is they have even more leeway than an average U.S. citizen. I don't even know if you could convict somebody for conspiracy to murder if you're giving a speech on the floor of Congress. They enjoy broad freedom of speech rights. So the idea that this video would count as seditious conspiracy is a joke.
No, that is the most ridiculous argument I've heard in quite some time.
Okay.
Just because there is a special rule on the speech and debate clause which enables Congress to vigorously argue with each other where they have protections from their speech does not mean that they have a right to go and address the military and go in to stand before an entire unit and stand there and tell them, do not follow the president's orders.
Wait, who addressed the military before a unit? Were there soldiers present when they were recording this shit?
You're saying they're special people. They get to talk and say whatever they want. And what I'm
Okay,
saying is
so
their
if they
role
did
is
this
not
on
the same as yours or
congressional floor and
mine.
It was recorded. Would you have the same argument, or would you say it's fine?
What I'm saying is what Senator Gallego did is just as bad.
Can you answer my question? If the video had not
I'm
been
answering
a
your
video, but
question.
rather a recording on the
I
congressional
just
floor,
answered.
would have been okay?
I just answered your question.
Well, you didn't give a yes or no, so it didn't sound
Well,
like
yes, it would be just as bad because Senator Gallego did the same thing.
Okay, so then why are you arguing that, like, oh, well, here it's fine? Actually, no, it would also be just as bad. Just say, I would never say it's okay if any single member of Congress ever questions the president's authority.
That's not what I said. I said
they can't call it unconstitutional. But
no,
they
can't
call it unconstitutional, but they can't remind them that they are not supposed to follow.
What I'm saying is you cannot address the military, say he's issuing unconstitutional orders. Your duty is to disregard.
Nobody said these. They said your duty is to follow the law. It's to ignore unlawful orders. Is there any way?
Okay,
I'm curious.
your duty is to disregard.
So you have orders that you must disregard? Does Trump issue unlawful orders?
Oh, that's obviously something subjective. Because
then it shouldn't be a problem,
one judge
right?
says no, another judge says yes. No, that's exactly the problem. That's why it's so dangerous. Because you have one judge saying it's unconstitutional, another one saying it's not. This guy's sitting in the freaking cockpit deciding, do I press this button or not? And this is Slotkin says, I better not do it, otherwise I'm going to get prosecuted. That is really manifestly dangerous. That is weakening our military. That is what you're advocating for, and you're trying to whitewash.
Then why do we have this law? Then why do we have this law at all? Then why do we have this law at all? Why do we have this law at all? But excuse me. You. What's sick and disgusting is the fact that the president of the United States is deploying the military that he knows that he can't do. You keep saying he's following the law. Well, then why was he complaining about not being able to do it with Minnesota when all of BLM was going? And he knows he's breaking the law. The disgusting thing is using your own military. What do you mean? What part do I need a professional? What other thing do you not know about? Tell me. I can educate you. Since apparently you don't. Anything.
Also,
it's not on fucking Twitter for
you're
you.
in Minnesota now. Also, you're in Minnesota
because
now.
Donald Trump had issues during the BLM riots where he was complaining that the governors wouldn't authorize him to deploy the National Guard to their states because he knew he didn't have the authority to do it. That was his main argument during J6 was that he couldn't deploy the National Guard to the Capitol because Nancy Pelosi or whatever person at the time he wanted to blame for his incompetence.
Consistently followed the law.
Oh, so what changed then? What law changed? What law changed between now and January 6th and 2021 that allows him now to deploy the National Guard? So why didn't he just deploy the National Guard immediately then, if he could always do it? Another pivot. He's thinking of the pivot up right now. He's thinking it. He knows he fucked up.
No, I didn't understand your question.
Donald Trump said that he couldn't deploy the National Guard because Bowser said something or whatever. The mayors, whatever. He said he couldn't do it. Why can he do it now? What changed between now and then?
Location.
I'm sorry. I might be is the Capitol?
You obviously are a retard because there's a big difference between District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. as a city proper and the Capitol itself. Those are two different things. Those are two completely different things. So when you're sitting there saying like, "Oh, it's
I'm so sorry because my geography is horrible."
Is location.
Is the Capitol in Washington D.C.?
Yeah, but he has no authority there. The final authority there actually goes to the Speaker of the House. Which is why ultimately Nancy Pelosi's. You need approval. He needed approval there.
You're so wrong. You're just a liar. How are you so insane on this? Holy shit. Okay. You're telling me that the ultimate police force of the Congress, of the U.S. Federal Congress, is not the U.S. Federal National Guard or police? They can't. It's not them. It rests with the Speaker of the House, a political position here?
Yes. And also, where did these guys get shot? Do you know?
Wasn't it outside?
DC.
Wasn't it right outside the? Where was it though?
Farragut West Metro.
No, wait.
I think it was I-17th. I think it was I-17th in DC.
Was it at the Capitol?
They weren't at the Capitol.
I thought weren't they right outside the White House?
But they're not in the Capitol.
So you think he could deploy the National Guard?
Why are we actually having this conversation?
Because you don't believe this. Because the point is that he knew in the past it was illegal. He complained during BLM that the governors wouldn't acquiesce to him using the National Guard. Right. Now he's doing it without the governors even consenting. So what changed?
There's three different contexts. You just use National Guard as if this is like using National Guard
Stop
here for this reason or that reason are the same. I'm not obfuscating.
I understand there are reasons why. You could do it in times of rebellion or coups. You could do it in times of enemy invasion. You could do it in times of great national crises. In the BLM, yes. I already said that. In the BLM era, which would have been way more of an insurrection than whatever the fuck he thinks is going on now. In the BLM era, he complained. I don't know if he called it this time either. In the BLM era,
he did. He specifically did.
He
called this
declared
an insurrection. He basically declared there to be an uprising.
Stop. What do you mean?
That was the
I'm
statute
sorry.
he relied on.
Explain to me legally. What does it mean to basically do something? That sounds like code speak for didn't do something. Did he declare
he did.
formally? He declared an insurrection in California.
In his executive order. This is exactly what Judge Breyer was arguing about, whether or not he had the authority to make that declaration in California. That's exactly what that's what they're debating. Does he have the authority to do that unilaterally? Does he have to go through Congress to do that? That's exactly what all these issues, the legal issues, which are complicated, which have been going back and forth between whether you're on district court level or you're on the circuit court level or the Supreme Court level. That's why it's very, very confusing. This is not a simple area.
So what was it? Well, apparently it's only problematic for Donald Trump. It is simple. It's not simple because you're having to engage in the literal mental gymnastics Olympics.
One thing that is simple is he cannot send the National Guard into the Capitol because the Capitol Police are under the jurisdiction of the Speaker of the House.
That's not even true. That's not even true. It's not fucking factual that your local security somehow overrides the jurisdiction of the National Guard of the DC Police.
The reason the law is written that way, I understand that you don't like to think about how laws actually work, but there's logic behind it.
Yeah. The basic
you don't like to think about it's not basically, it's reality. The reality is that if you have police force A and all of a sudden police force B come in there and they don't have communication between each other, that creates a dangerous situation. In order to have that, the normal authority police have to approve and say, yes, it's okay for you to come in here. Otherwise, you can literally have police shooting at each other, which makes it more dangerous than if the new police force doesn't come in there. So that's why you have to have that coordination, and that's why ultimately Nancy Pelosi was the final call within the grounds of the Capitol. That's why there's all this testimony about these people who are desperately calling Nancy, let us in, let us in, let us in, and she's ducking for an hour and a half. So now you want to sit here.
I agree with I want that whole thing to be clipped, and that is the answer to this debate. You just said that if you bring in a police force that doesn't cooperate with the local authorities, you make no effort to do so, it creates an environment and a situation that is more dangerous than it would be otherwise, which is exactly what Donald Trump has done with his deployment of the National Guard to every single state, which was exactly the argument that we made at the outset of this. And I like how you didn't realize how fucked you were, because you made the same exact argument on January 6th because the shoe was on the other foot.
Awesome.
You're such an unbelievable hypocrite. It's unbelievable to me.
Awesome. What you're asking now is the first intelligent question you've asked. That's the strongest, most logical question you've asked. And here's it's the observation that's the best point you've made so far.
No.
And the obvious difference. No, it's the first really good point you made. And the reason you're mistaken, the reason you're so grossly mistaken is because when he declares this situation in DC proper, he has the authority there that he does not have inside the grounds of the Capitol. He doesn't have that in Chicago. He has it in DC. Now, when he goes out in California, what he's doing in California, he's not trying to police and patrol the area. And when you're talking about in California, there he's using the National Guard for a completely different purpose, to protect ICE. Because the Democrats have helped basically amp up the rhetoric or their own side that they should get violent stand in the way of federal
They weren't
vehicles,
amping up the rhetoric. They were just trolling.
on.
They were just trolling, LOL.
Yeah, they're trolling by
Also,
banging
what
on
is this thing?
vehicles
What do
and
you
playing
think?
air raid
What do you
sounds.
think? What do you think? Trolling? Yeah, they're trolling. Yeah, like when Donald Trump tweets out pictures of we're coming to Chicago with the Department of War. What are you citing to? What are you implying when you say that the National Guard can't do when he does? Stop saying you don't like when he does that. Why? It is the most tepid criticism I've ever heard in my entire life. I don't like when he does that. He's inflaming the rhetoric and he's causing situations like what just happened when National Guardsmen are getting shot. That's what he's doing.
That's not inflaming the rhetoric. You're saying, because he says because he throws out some meme about dropping.
Meme. Go f yourself. You're so retarded. I can't even believe it's so unbelievable. It's some fucking meme. You treat Donald Trump like an actual retard. I can treat other people how you want to be treated.
Ahead.
Maybe that's the whole point here.
I do want to good logic. Finish your point, please.
When he's dropping a meme, if you think that is what's riling up the left, that's what gets them started. Not the last 12 years of screaming about how he's a fascist, he's a danger, he's going to kill us all, and he hates trans people and homosexuals and women. He's misogynist.
He does. He is. Yeah, these are all things. Yeah, can't say truth statements.
All that stuff. All that stuff, that's not what makes people angry and hate him. It's because he sent out a video of him flying a plane and dropping loads of crap on Harry Sisson. That's why they're so angry.
Just remember, when we talked about how horrible the seditious six are, when he talked about how horrible the seditious six was, we had to take that in context of everything else. But when Donald Trump does it, it's a discrete tweet that he could never possibly control, and we always have to see it as just a little minor case of discrete trolling, and we can't apply the context to anything else. But when the seditious sects tell you to follow the orders that are already part of the military, now we got to talk about context.
The
I'll
question I
concede,
have
I
for you,
don't
hold on
like
just
it.
real quick. The question I have for you, Good Logic. You say you don't like it when President Trump tweets out things like we're bringing the Department of War to Chicago. Can you explain why you don't like that? What is wrong with that in your view?
Like you care about the Constitution and try. Yeah. Sorry, I'm done.
You seriously are so bad at guessing which direction I'm going. It's weird.
I think I guessed last time. That's why you gave an even more retarded answer. Or like this thing of like
I want
the
an answer
National
to my
Guard
question.
can't go into
Go
the
ahead,
Capitol. What AI was that? ChatGPT or was that Grok Law or where the fuck did that thing come from?
I don't
we
want
know.
him to issue threats.
Just answer Wick's question.
Okay, you don't want him to issue threats.
I want him to act. Because that's what a leader does. A leader acts. A leader doesn't have to issue threats.
So wait, your
a
problem
leader
is
doesn't have to
he
say
gave
this.
them warning. He should have just done it.
No, what I'm saying is he should do what he's supposed to do when he's legally allowed to do in order to help take care of a situation. Talking about it doesn't benefit anyone. That's why I don't
think
like
that
it.
perhaps talking about it and making these kinds of threats, as your words, might lead to an inflamed situation? Like if I were to receive a threat, if like Destiny there was like, hey, Wick, I'm going to dox you, right? In memes about doxing me. Do you think it would be something that might cause me to act in different ways than I otherwise normally would do so? Because, hey, this guy has some power. He's got some influence. He's much bigger than me. He's threatening me with something. Even if he's just memeing, it might cause me to take certain actions that I otherwise wouldn't.
I don't think that the left acts in accordance with what Trump does.
So you don't think that anything that Trump does affects what the left? There's no response.
What I'm saying is what I'm saying is I don't think that there is any more likely to listen to something that he says than something that I say.
Wait, what
The
if we
same
do
way
it
my
like-
audience
wait,
will sit here looking at Destiny as if for the joke that he is, and they don't take anything he says seriously.
Can
I
we
don't
take it to
think
the
I
absurd?
don't think
I
that
really
and
know.
they
I
don't.
need to ask you this.
I'm almost with you, Troy.
No, because you're
So,
completely off the question.
what I'm saying
and
is,
you need
no,
to
you're
answer this.
asking
Come
a question as to the influence that he has when he says something
You're
else.
saying no
So you're saying
leftist
we're
person
talking
would respond
what
to Trump,
impact
right?
is that having on what influence is that having on the left getting violent? No, I don't believe
absolutely
that makes
none.
any sense at all.
Yeah, sure. So, okay, if Donald Trump said, I'm going to go to this city and I'm going to go door to door and murder every Democrat, do you think any person on the left would respond to that violently?
I think that every person on the right would be yelling at him that he shouldn't be saying
That's
that.
not my question. I
embarrassing.
asked if Donald Trump could do something that would cause the left to be more violent.
Can't compute.
I can't
asking
believe
for,
you are
Probably.
asking
thinking
for
about
criticism
this. I
of
could-
Donald
I
Trump.
believe
Does not
Probably.
understand question.
Okay.
Cannot compute. Does not understand.
Probably. Is it 1% or 90% probably?
I have no idea.
You're such a coward, dude. Like,
Okay.
this is the easiest question.
No,
I don't know why
no. What is 1% 90% mean? You know what I mean? You're not even asking a logical
you know
question.
what
Question:
What does that mean?
Zero to
If
100.
Donald Trump were to punch
0 to 100 of
if
what?
Donald Trump were to punch a
Of what?
1-year-old in the face, would it be bad?
No, anyone punching a 1-year-old in the face would be bad.
You can't even just say yes to that. It has to be anyone. Donald Trump punching.
I have to tell you something. I'm thrilled to hear two people on the left who are sitting here saying it's bad to hurt children. I think that's a
He's
wonderful day
doing
we
it.
reached.
I can't
I think
believe
that's a
it.
beautiful thing. I think that's a beautiful thing we
women
got.
and women to be bad.
No, I think that you stand up for maps. I think that you're okay. I think you're okay with poisoning the minds of children into confusing them.
Like the head pedophile of the state right now, buddy. You really don't
Which
have
is-
ground to stand
which
on.
is-
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, we've come to the time of it's time for closing statements. Let's say that. I am going to be
Great.
streaming. If you guys want to stay for call-ins or whatever, you may. But I want to make sure that the people here get a chance to have closing arguments, closing thoughts, and I got links to all these people in my YouTube description. They can tell you where they can find you, etc. Yeah, here we are. We're gonna let Logic have the last word, so we're gonna start with Soypill, go to Destiny, then Logic, and then yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I had a whole argument set up here. We never got to it. The National Guard troops should not have been there. There's a reason why judges are saying that he's violating posse comitatus. Why was it Briggs or no? Sorry, Cobbs is saying that this is not a legal deployment. And the whole idea that this is a necessary action, that the crime is so rampant, is ridiculous. I mean, you look at what people are saying. You look at the stats. The crime is at a 30-year low. This was not some sort of we need to do this because these cities are out of control. He's doing this because he wants to gain power and he wants to have influence in these cities and he wants to have some sort of executive branch that lets him do what the law enforcement is supposed to do. It's clearly a power grab. It's authoritarian action by Trump. And yeah, therefore it is his fault for putting people who shouldn't have been here in places where they didn't need to be, where people in the National Guard and other generals warned him and said, hey, this is going to amp up the rhetoric. This is going to put them in harm's way. This does not need to happen. They all were telling him this before he did it, and he did it anyway, and then something violent happens. No, it's not Trump's fault that a crazy guy got a gun and walked up to someone and shot them, but this never would have happened if he didn't do these orders. They didn't need to be there. It's his fault, in the same way that you could say, oh yeah, it's not someone's fault for going to a frat party and getting assaulted. Sure, but if they said, I don't want to go, and then you said, well, you know what, I'm going to force you to go, and I just dropped a bunch of Viagra and all the punch bowl. It's a little bit your fault. So it's ridiculous. And the fact that you couldn't even admit to the most benign of all things, which was, hey, does Donald Trump at least have some culpability if he were to say, I'm going to kill every Democrat in a state? And you said, probably. That's the closest you can get to admitting anything, is probably. And you can't even assign a weight to it. Is it 1%? Is it 90%? I don't know, maybe. But when you look at this video from the Seditious Six, it's no, this is clearly a seditious act. They should be prosecuted. In fact, I agree with Trump. They should be hanged. It's so cowardly, but at least you stayed to
I didn't
do
say
your little
that.
grift.
I don't think that's true.
At least you stayed to do your little grift. The other guy ran away because he knew he would actually have to answer a question. So thanks for that. This was embarrassing.
Well, gang, if you like Soy Pill, go check them out. Links in the channel. Destiny, please.
This is just a deeply unserious conversation. I look forward to the next election whenever the Democrats are back in power and all of a sudden conservatives rediscover their love for freedom of speech and limitation on executive powers. There's a reason why Bill Barr was considered one of the most right-wing attorney generals of all time, why he resigned under Donald Trump with days left in the administration. There's a reason why Donald Trump didn't run with the same vice presidents, because he wanted the last one to get killed when he was calling people to the Capitol to not change the outcome of the election, but apparently, according to good logic, just call for some investigation into some voter fraud that they'd already done and nothing had been found that would change the outcome of the election. Donald Trump has pardoned every single person around him, including people that had no business even getting pardoned, people that were committing seditious conspiracy on his behalf, people that were obstructing investigations on his behalf, like Roger Stone. And then he's targeted political opponents in ways that no prior administration ever has. At least Good Logic's friend was good faith enough to admit that. I think he realized that just showing up with a little lawyer tag and not knowing any law whatsoever wasn't going to be enough to get his retarded ass through this debate, which, props to that guy for at least being smart enough to realize he needed to walk the out of the Thunderdome because he was not ready for the Kaya shocks that were coming here. Okay. And I hope that, when the next Democratic president steps in and he starts flexing that criminal immunity, when he starts realizing that the executive branch can target and kill and do whatever the fuck they want, as long as they listen to a court eventually, I hope that Republicans are as excited to defend that as they have been to defend Donald Trump.
Okay, if you guys like what Destiny has to say, you can find a link to him if for whatever reason you don't already have it. It's in my YouTube description. Finally, last word from Good Logic, please. Go ahead.
I didn't come here prepared to flex a fourth grade vocabulary. So I apologize those of you who are looking for me to jump down into that ring. At the end of the day, the most significant thing that came out of this is a recognition from both of my adversaries over here that what the Seditious Six did in that video is they made members of the military potentially question their activities when they're in the midst of a heated moment for actions that actually may ultimately prevail as being totally constitutional and thereby made for a more dangerous situation. I do not think they should be hanged for that. I think that Trump is speaking passionately when he says that, and he says that it's treason, they should be hanged. I don't think that that's the appropriate punishment for them. I do think that Mark Kelly should be court-martialed and stripped of his commission, and I think that he should be forced out in disgrace. And I think that to the extent that there was a conspiracy here to try and harm our military, I think that weakens life for all Americans. We take our military for granted. And when you have our own congressmen and women sitting there trying to undermine them and have them questioning their own actions when they're taking it, that creates a very dangerous situation. With respect to the question of the main topic at hand, I think that Trump did everything he could legally to get him out. He's not a fascist, which is why he didn't simply remove all the Afghanis. And that's why this gentleman was here to commit those heinous acts. And Frankly, I said it would be much easier. I don't want him to be more of a fascist, but life would be much easier for him if he was the fascist that you're always claiming him to be. And I think it's a good thing that he's not that fascist, but he's dealing with a mess that has been baked in here purposefully by the Democrats under Biden, that they brought in all these Afghanis, they brought in millions of illegal aliens, and every step he's been taking to try and make our country safer and safer, they literally will stand in front of federal vehicles and try and do and go and run to one courthouse after another trying to stop him from taking steps. And the only reaction that the left have is, oh my God, we might lose some criminal illegal alien, be forced to be sent back home, which is horrific and shocking that people actually still take that position. But I guess if it works for you, go with it. I appreciate that at some point here we had moments of actual conversation, and hopefully in the future, if we actually debate each other, we can dial back the juvenile, you're stupid, idiot, foul language, and actually just engage in discourse. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, an alternative perspective, I urge you to check me out. It's Good Logic. You can find me on YouTube, on Rumble, and on X under that name, Good Logic.
Check him out. I got a link to his channel. You guys are free to stay if you like. We got some callers, but if you need to go, I understand. You're. I'm not Hamas. I'm not going to hold you hostage, right? So.
I said I'd give you 2 hours, which we're kind of hitting up against.
Yeah, we are.
Wait, can I ask a quick single answer question for Good Logic?
Go for it, Destiny.
When it comes to enforcing executive stuff in the executive branch, so things like vetting people that come over, who does the buck stop with?
President.
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, thank you again for coming. I do appreciate you. Unfortunately, I don't think Bronca knew what he was getting into, right? Maybe he should have watched a little.
To be clear, that guy's Twitter feed is unhinged. The guy thought that he could show up and throw around a few legal terms. The guy doesn't know anything about anything, especially international law. And the idea that going to law school in the United States would privy you to some understanding of international law is a joke. The reason why
all
that
I'm
guy
saying
dipped
is
the
I
fuck
hope
out is
there's
because
no
he's a
hard
pussy-ass
feelings with
bitch,
Bronca.
and he knew that he was going to get roasted here because it's probably the first challenging conversation this retards ever had his entire life.
He would destroy you.
Clear,
In a properly moderated
Where was
dialogue,
he?
He would utterly
proper
destroy.
moderation? What? Where somebody's here to handhold him through the entire conversation because he can't make a point?
What I'm saying is, where you actually when he's arguing with people who are adult, and I've seen him argue with people who are adult enough to not say you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're a child, F you. So in that environment, he's actually a pit bull. He just doesn't. He's not
a pit
it's
bull
not worth his
when
time
he's
and
around
effort.
weaker people.
Yes.
That's what you just said around other people that are too mean to tell them out. Unbelievable. You guys are the debate profession, litigators, right?
It's sad that you think that makes you stronger. It's very sad.
Oh, like the president of the United States conducts himself constantly?
Because
it was just a little bit of trolling. I was meaning. I was just trolling. It was meaning. It was
I'm
trolls.
not ready for blood sports. That's on me.
It was trolling. It was trolling. I was just meaning. It was
And
trolling.
also, Wick, his pinned tweet is
I'm not upset with
migrate
you.
everyone right now. So, like, I don't think that he's exactly some person who's allergic to blood sports. He clearly knows the game. He's just
but it's not being bad at it, saying I'm not going to be talked down to me. There's a difference between arguing points versus arguing ad hominem, and that's all. And he's not going to do that.
Yeah, so when I call someone out for not answering a question, that's talking down to them?
No, when you're basically saying that F you, you're an effing retard dick sucker, that's talking down to them.
I said that to you. I didn't say that to him right away. In fact, he left when I said you're not answering the question, so it didn't require that level of ad hominem to get him out.
You didn't let him finish his answer. There's a certain level of respect. What I'm saying is...
What do you think about the level... Wait, one more quick question.
Hold on, stop. I did mute Soy Pill so he could finish his answer, but then he left anyway.
What do you think about the level of respect Donald Trump showed the reporter that he called stupid because she asked him a difficult question?
It wasn't a difficult question.
It is within his purview to say
You're
that.
such a... I can't believe you. Holy shit.
Okay. Either way, yeah. Okay. I do got super chats too. So if you
Quiet, Peggy.
Thank you. Right.
Take care. I thank you for having me, and I'll come back here. I'll do this again with Destiny or others, whatever it is. That's fine. But I do think that, and I want to be clear here, Wick. I wasn't looking to put you down for your moderation because I'm fine with it. And frankly, I think there's sometimes you even quiet them down. I didn't even need you to quiet them down. I think you were particularly trying to make sure that I wasn't going to get overrun, and I definitely appreciate that. I'm not questioning your moderation, but I do think he was expecting a different nature of discourse.
Show up next time being anything other than a Trump cum-filled water balloon, and maybe we can have a real conversation about things.
All right. So you see, this even now, as I'm walking out, you still have to just
Just
throw
a little
out the
bit of trolling.
expletives.
It's just trolling. We're just trolling. It's trolling.
Well,
LOL.
that's fine.
It's just
No,
trolling.
that's fine.
It's
But
just
it's
trolling. LOL.
it's not actually showing anything other than that you're able to appeal to 17-year-olds.
Oh, is that what Donald Trump does? Or you mean 17-year-olds?
Which I don't know. Maybe
right?
appeal,
Or was it 15
maybe,
or 14? I
maybe,
don't remember all the
maybe,
Epstein
maybe
shit.
I was going to say maybe appealing to 15
you guys
17-year-olds
go
is
along
right
as
your
long as
thing.
the show's
Maybe
over,
that's
right?
your
We
thing,
could-
Destiny.
Yeah, there
Maybe
we go.
appealing to 15
True.
and 17
It
year olds is your
It
thing,
absolutely
Destiny.
is,
I don't know.
The difference is I don't lose
Well,
my
anyway,
civil cases like Trump lost his. We're raping that one woman. What was it, Eugene Carroll? But we don't like those court cases, right? We don't like those ones.
I thank you all for I thank you all for joining me. It was great.
I do appreciate. I really want to say thank you for staying. I do appreciate that. So thank you.
Take care, Wick. Have a great night.